He never has.
Yeah. Hi guys. I'm Sander. Sander the Ape. That's the main reason why ETHTallinn and the Tallinn Web3 Week was generated. It's a second year event for this year, and it's going to happen from Tuesday to Wednesday, but around the week, starting with actually from yesterday we had the first tour with speakers and stuff, and now today we'll be having this ETTallinn Kick-Off, yeah, so the team has been doing some good work. We finally got into a position where ETH Foundation said that they will most likely come and join us for the whole year program. So it's going to be some good fun that's going to happen in Estonia and across the Nordics and Baltics over the next 12 months, and then even more after that. But today it's ETHTallinn Kick-Off, so I don't want to take too much more time, and rather want to have the team to have a quick presentation, followed by some other talks, and then we'll just mix and mingle. So enjoy the event.
Thank you. So welcome everyone to the first ETHTallinn Initiative event. It's going to be the first of many events that are going to happen online and physically in Estonia and more. So today we're going to have a few talks, we're going to network, we're going to network, and we are going to learn a few insightful things from our speakers. So, who am I? I'm Krisu, or Christina, depends how you prefer it. I am the project lead of the project, and in my personal life I do marketing and events in the Web3 space for the last few years. We are a team of 9 people. Some of the team members are here, some of them are not here, but everybody has been contributing in an essential way to make all this happen, and many other things in the future. So, how ETHTallinn was born? ETHTallinn has 3 basic elements, 3 basic motivations. The first one is to build innovative Web3 projects in the Baltics, and we are here to kind of support the local entrepreneurs and support the individuals to network, to educate themselves, to create insightful connections with people from the global and the local environment. And our goal is to build the next Web3 unicorn in the Baltics, or in Estonia specifically. And the second thing that we observed and why we started what we are doing today is that over the last few years we have seen massive adoption of the Web3 ecosystem. But at the same time we have seen a lot of crime, crypto crime, with 2021 more specifically having $14 billion stolen in the Web3 space. So even though we have multiple people joining, we have a space that is not safe for everyone. It is not built to welcome everyone. And this is what we are trying to change. And the last and the most important thing is that the Baltics have been leading the technological solutions for many years now. Since 2011, many projects have been built, including the X-Road project, which is an open source data sharing solution used by governments and nations. We have multiple unicorns, including Skype, Pipedrive, and Wise, and more. So what is our mission, as I said, is to educate people and grow that community and make sure that everybody has the resources that they need to move forward. So over the next year, we're going to focus on 3 main activities. The first one is to create 3 main meetups in the Baltics, not sure where, probably Estonia. But if we have the community in other areas, in other regions in the Baltics, we want to do that as well. We are going to have 10 workshops, minimum, digitally and physically, which is focused on different target audiences. And then the last and most important part is within the next year, we want to build a network and a community of 500 people that will build and they will support us throughout our journey. And the way that we will do that is Victoria.
Hi guys, I'm Victoria. I'm the marketing lead at ETHTallinn. full-time community manager at Superfluid as well, which you're going to hear later today. So like Christina said, we are building the Web3 community here in the Baltics. So who is the community? Who are we talking to? So it's mainly developers and builders. So yes, software developers, but also marketers, salespeople, business people, product designers, artists, everyone who wants to get their hands on the ecosystem, want to learn, want to build stuff, they're more than welcome to join and participate. Also, everyone who's blockchain curious, if you don't know much about the space, you're new, you want to learn, that's the perfect opportunity for you to join us and participate in the workshops and the initiatives that we're organizing. And also people who work in Web3, whether full-time, part-time, you're a DAO contributor, or you want to build your career in the blockchain space, great. That's your perfect starting point to do that. Since we all work in the Web3 full-time, we're happy to show you the industry and the steps. Why to join? So like I said, it's a great learning opportunity since we have a lot of workshops that we're organizing, a lot of different initiatives. So it's a great learning platform for you. You can meet industry experts. So as today, we have great speakers coming on stage to share what they're building, what kind of products they are working with. It's a great way to interact and understand what's happening and who's in the space. Also build innovative projects on your own. If you have an idea or a project that you want to build, we have a great network of mentors, speakers, everyone who can support you. And also we have bounty and hackathon opportunities. A little bit more on that later. And new friends. You can make new connections, new friends, meet people in this community, and just chill around. Oh, by the way, very important to mention as well, we are not here to shill any tokens. We're not here to shill any NFTs. We're here for the technology and to build on the blockchain. So that's important to mention as well.
Let's go.
And so what's the plan? What's the roadmap? What are we going to do? So today, this is a kickoff event. So we got the community together here. We're really happy. We have amazing speakers on stage today. So that's the kickoff, the Ethereum ecosystem in the Baltics. And then afterwards, we're going to organize workshops. You can expect them to be online because our community is very international, so it's more accessible for everyone. And we actually have the first workshop already scheduled and planned in, which is by William Entriken, the father of NFTs, and the lead author of ERC 721. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about his money, how money works, and who owns money. So really important questions to ask in this space. Like Christina also said, we're going to do in-person meetups. Some meetups will be online, like community calls, get together, get to know each other a little bit better, and maybe through community calls or initiatives like that. And then also we want to scale our community. So we're here today in Tallinn, but we actually want to be across the Baltics and operate also in Latvia and Lithuania. And that means that we want to expand our team, and we're looking for ambassadors. So what we're going to do is we are going to launch an ambassador program, which we will talk about maybe a little bit later as well. But if you're interested to contribute to our team, to this initiative, and take part in the organization of all these amazing things, then let us know. And why we're doing all of this, so what is the end goal? So actually we want to organize a hackathon, a 3-day hackathon in person in Tallinn next year in 2024. So we want to get all the people here in person to come together, form teams, learn, and actually build projects in this space. And as you maybe already saw and met some people here in this venue, yes, we are ETHTallinn, we're in the Baltics, but actually people are coming together across the world. Also in our team, people are coming from Mexico and the US. So it's amazing to see that our community is actually very, very international, which is great. And that's the plan, that's the roadmap, and that's what you can expect.
Cool. Thank you so much, Victoria. I'm Ashton Barger, for those that don't know me, cashton.eth, .lens, .near, whatever you prefer, as well. And I'm helping with sort of sponsors and partners and bringing people to join and support this community and this movement. I also do events and marketing for a marketing agency. in the space called Flight 3, and I do a conference in London every year called Zebu Live. And I can't wait to welcome you and really showcase this exciting schedule to you all. We have a packed day, of course, starting with William Entriken here, who's going to go through Introduction to Web3 and Ethereum, the system that's built on. Then we're going to have Superfluid, which is streaming money on-chain, introduce their project and what they're working on and how we make frictionless money. We're going to be talking with Parity Network, Polkadot are here as well. We'll have a panel about NFTs beyond just monkey pictures, which should be exciting, although we do love them, Sander and everyone that knows those, you know. And then we'll have Polygon streaming in virtually, which should be exciting. Pray it works. Sure it will. And then Alphabill talking about their project, Ethereum scaling, the network they're building. And then we'll have a panel to wrap things up about building Web3 unicorns in the Baltics and how we can get that done very timely. And then we'll sort of wrap it up and we'll do some networking with pizza and beer. So stay around for that, stick with us, and yeah, we'll have a good time. Thank you so much to our partners. Of course, YOLO Group, who brought us here today with this incredible venue, supported us in multiple ways with their staff, their promotions, their support, and really everything to bring us here. So let's give a quick round of applause to YOLO Group. Thank you so much. The team's been super helpful to really get us here and get us to kick off, really. We have ETHTallinn as well, of course, Sander, Darina, the team that's really supported us and brought us connections and helped us integrate within this ecosystem. And of course, doing it during the week at ETHTallinn is super exciting to welcome you guys here, and then hope to see you there at the event in a few days. And then of course, Superfluid, MetaWalls, Zebu Live, HerdOwl, and a number of other people that have been helping and supporting and promoting since we kind of kicked off that brought us here today. And so I want to encourage you all to join us, to follow on socials, participate, scan the QR codes. Got some exciting links in there. And then we'll have the ambassador program sign-ups and lots of different things there. So participate. We'll be announcing, obviously, other meetups, other workshops that are coming soon. So definitely join, support any way you can, whether that's financially, whether that's partner, whether that's promote. You want to do your own workshops or do your own talks, grow a community in other places, you know, in the Baltics and Estonia. We're here to grow, we're here to support and do what we can. There's a few people still scanning.
Does it work?
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
What is
Because
it?
iPhone work background is wrong.
Yeah, iPhone is working, Android's struggling.
Well, we have the chat.
_.
We have the Telegram chat, ETH_Tallinn on Twitter. And we have our website, which has the links as well. So join the Telegram. We'll post all the links in the. It's a link tree.
What's
so
the
we'll post it
Wi-Fi
there.
password?
Fast, fun, fair.
Fun, fast, fair.
Fun, fast, fair, of course.
And the F is capital.
F is
All the
capital.
F's are capital.
All the F's are capital.
Fun, fast, fair.
Fun, fast, fair.
Fast, fair.
And,
Fun, fast, fair.
and also we can put up a new QR code in the break, during the break, so everybody can scan it.
Yeah.
And the last thing
We'll
that
get
we
you in.
wanted to mention is that we have a pub. So we collaborated with YOLO team to have a pub. So you can find Chris and the rest of the team. And if you want a new pub in your collection from ETTallinn Kick-Off, you can get it. So,
Yeah. Rewards and things in the future, maybe.
Maybe.
Stay tuned. Thank you so much for being here. We can't wait to build this community alongside you all. And thanks for coming out. It's an incredible turnout. Thank you. Cool. So we're going to have a few words from the YOLO team. I believe Silver is going to come up and say a few things.
Yeah, it's just going to be very quick. Hello guys, welcome everyone to YOLO Group. This is our headquarters here in Tallinn. Hope you've enjoyed it thus far. I don't know how many of you actually know about YOLO Group or what YOLO Group is. One person, 2 people, 3 people, awesome. So essentially, yes, YOLO is a, how do I put it, we're like an IT and iGaming company. We're headquartered based here in Tallinn, but we've got offices all around the globe, Australia, Brazil, Malta, and Argentina, and elsewhere as well. We're 1,000 people strong. It all began back in 2014, I think, even earlier, but 2014 was when we launched our first big brand. We've got 2 major brands. One is sportsbet.io, which is a sportsbook, and bitcasino.io, which is the first ever licensed crypto casino in the world. Sportsbet is a huge sportbook as well. We've got some heavy partners. We're partnered with Arsenal FC, we're their official betting partner, and Southampton Football Club as well. We are on their main kit, our logo. And that's, pretty much it. Oh, one more thing. We are building a high-end VIP casino in Tallinn Old Town as well. So stay tuned. Enjoy your day.
Yeah, and I think we're good to kick this event off. And William, you're free to take the stage. He's going to do an introduction to Web3 and the blockchain.
Woo! Yeah. There you go.
All right, so this is my speech. Everybody welcome here. So I wanted to introduce myself a little bit, maybe give some random facts. That's a fun thing. Maybe I could start a trend here. So hi, I'm Will Entriken, coming from Philadelphia. A little background on me. I'm known in this room maybe as the guy who's the lead author of ERC 721, which is how NFTs are made. I've been studying NFTs back to the 1500s, applying the concepts to today. These ideas have been around for a long time, and I'm learning a lot, just like you maybe. So this is something that I feel like there's a lot of opportunity, and I just want to share and learn, and that's why I'm in this space. A little background on me. I used to work at Google. I started my career in open source at Google forever ago. I worked at the Navy, in the US Navy. I do business in Philadelphia and Shanghai. My hobby is I do boudoir photography, and my best marathon is 9:55. I'm working to improve that. It's 9 hours. It's a fish medal. Here's some of the people we're going to see today. And I do big, complicated workshops. I teach you how to write smart contracts. I go into the theory of this. I compare artwork versus traceability versus fraud in luxury goods, and they're all very much connected. That's not what this is today. Today, this is just an intro, so I'm just going to be opening up the scene. I see some familiar faces here. Here's some more speakers you're going to see. Look to your left, look to your right. If these are one of the people you're sitting next to, that's who's going to be speaking later, so you can nudge them and strike it up. But what I wanted to do is I just wanted to kick this off and say, why am I here? Why did I come here? And maybe inspire some of you that are just getting started to see, like, just to align. You're here for this today. Are you going to show up next time? Like, that's where the inspiration is, if you're going to be here again. Okay. God. So some of the speeches you're going to see today, and I just want to get you interested. I'm not going to tell you all about it. But what you're going to hear about today is streaming money. You're going to hear about new types of ways of using money. We know how money works. You got money, someone else, you're giving them money, right? Why do we use that? We're paying people. We are investing in things. We are holding it. We are putting money in a bank so that when we walk down the street and we get robbed, that money's not on our person, right? So, good story about that. Yesterday, getting robbed and all the money getting taken off you. Like, that's a problem with crypto, too, especially if you have $1 million in your pocket wherever you go. And you got Face ID that unlocks your wallet. Like, watch out for that. So there's different things that you can do with money, and we just want to talk about some of these applications. One of them you're going to see is streaming money, get paid money every single second. That's an interesting concept. I have employees, and I pay them, and it's hard enough to pay them every 2 weeks. They're like, where's my money? I need my money. Like, pay them every second. Why not? Polkadot is the connection of a lot of different blockchains. This is kind of meta. Like, I heard you like blockchain, so I made a blockchain to hook up your blockchains, right? So, but that actually matters if you're pretty deep into this, so we're going to hear about some of these deep things. NFTs and games. So NFTs are collectible, and I'm sure you've seen like pictures and NFTs that you can buy and sell, right? And that's pretty much where that utility ends on a lot of that stuff. So games, you can have pictures in games, and you can do more than pictures in games. So we're going to talk about that. They're going to talk about this. Reputation. Reputation is an important thing. It is the most important thing. A lot of times when we're talking about blockchain, you might hear people saying decentralized or anonymous. Nothing is anonymous. You're just not important enough to be looked up yet. Right? When the taxes are due, they will find you in Malta. Like, they will come for you, right? So there is no anonymous. It's all about reputation. So you have to embrace that. You have to build a reputation. Don't run away. Don't run away from taxes. Find a lawyer. Don't run away from, don't be thinking that a DAO is just going to insulate you from. No, there's no insulation. It's about you. It's about be proud of your reputation, build a reputation. The sooner you do that, the sooner you dox yourself or whatever, better off you're going to be, because it's going to happen. Supply chain. I don't think we get into this today. I got into this at ETHTallinn. Supply chain is a really big use case, and I just wanted to say briefly is that some of the use cases we're talking about now are easier. They're easier to do. So they're easier to build. Streaming money. Sending tokens is easy. So if you have any type of interaction, you have to get tokens to run these blockchain things. Sending them, that's a natural use case. So these things come out earlier. So like if you know how to send tokens, you can make a smart contract and it sends tokens over time. Okay, but that will get built first. Supply chain is a very big use case. So while we're working on it today, you're not going to see it for years. So there's crypto winner. People think there's no crypto winner, right? That's not a thing. It's just that there are different phases that the things hit the shelf. So this is all alive and well. This is coming. Just keep an open mind that, oh my God, I cannot. Just keep an open mind because a lot's coming. You just don't see all of it yet. So you have to get the story at places like this. So why are we here? We're here to talk about blockchain. So I just wanted to give you my definition of what is blockchain. It's pretty broad. It is an accountability first system. It's an accountability system. There's a lot of other stuff. None of that matters. It's all about accountability. We're increasing accountability of things. We're not creating unicorns. These are all just derivatives of the fact that we have accountability. There's such a lack of accountability in business and connections in the real world that when there's an outbreak of accountability, it's like, oh my God, things become possible. We're never used to being accountable for anything. So it's just accountability. If you're down with accountability, you can achieve these great things on blockchain or without blockchain, it doesn't matter. But what we're doing is you have to understand what is an accountability system. The immediate thing on top of that is money and commerce. So money with more accountability, commerce with more accountability. And over the past few years, we've just seen the explosion. That's what you get. This community, this room that you're in, I wanted to tell you why I'm here. Maybe this is why you're here. Maybe I'm just going to articulate it. In these communities, in this type of events, you're going to see them all around the world. Ethereum is sponsoring some of them. All the L1s are sponsoring this type of events. You show up, there's a lot of beer and pizza. And this one, there's actually champagne, so this is very this type of event. Usually it's beer and pizza. And you're going to see a lot of people that are interested in a lot of weird topics and cool stuff. RF, radio, making your own radio. You're going to see people here with radio licenses. Do you need a license in Europe to operate small-time radio? Yeah, amateur license? Awesome. All right. You're going to see photographers. You're going to see people that are very interested in ChatGPT and have used this in their business. These are the type of people that are around you. They're also interested in blockchain. There's a lot of interest. That's actually a main reason to come to one of these things too. So the spin-offs, all the different people you're going to meet, they're just interesting people. They're interested in new stuff. They're interested in side gigs, staying up at late, not drinking every day and actually promoting themselves, causes. They're into these things. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do here? And so you come to this room, get a little inspired. Don't quit your day job. So that's my first advice. Don't get too excited about this stuff. Be mostly here for learning and promoting yourself. That's what you want to get out of this. Don't go headfirst in these things. Don't mortgage your house. That was contrarian advice, a few years ago. 2017, don't mortgage your house for this stuff. A lot of people mortgage their houses. It turned out poorly. I'm telling you today, don't quit your day job. That's the same thing as mortgaging your house, especially in this economy. So just come here for the inspiration. Specifically, helping yourself. How are you going to help yourself? Look for marketable skills. I'm talking about your resume. There are people in here that will teach you a few things and give you gigs or portfolio that you can get onto your resume. It's all about the portfolio, right? So you want to go to interacting here, getting all these people, getting through all these talks, getting to the actual networking, which is the important part at the end. Build a few things and put that in your resume. That's something you can take home. That makes you money. Your resume, your network is your net worth, but your resume is also your portfolio. Next, you want to learn about GitHub. If you're going to do anything technical, if we're doing more than just talking about the stuff you're going to make something, you need to be on GitHub. That means with a real name, with a photo that looks like your face, and not something that's not your face, and at least one commit this year. That's the minimum that you need, and you can do a lot with that. I've had more, this is since the past 5 years, I've had more interview requests from GitHub than LinkedIn and email combined. Not even looking. Like, headhunters use GitHub all the time. So even if you are in marketing, people in marketing are using GitHub. What? Yeah, people make websites using GitHub, and that means marketing people use GitHub too. So there's just so much on there that you want to be there. It's part of your resume. And what's more important than your resume is your portfolio. And GitHub is just all portfolio, baby. So you want to be on there, and this is how you do it. You come up with some ideas. You're like, hey, you talk with someone, hey, you got a cool idea. Let's just go scope it out. GitHub. You just published something. That's on your resume. And then the last thing, this is the easy one. Don't take this off the table. Whatever you're doing in your day job, I don't care if you're selling live chickens. Learn something here to help you sell live chickens. You know, that's not a crypto thing. Whatever. Crypto people are good at selling stuff, right? So learn that, take that home with you, and sell more chickens. Whatever you're doing, right, you can learn from the people that are creative and passionate around you, because that's what business is, creativity and passion. Doesn't matter where you apply it. So don't have to quit your day job. You can keep selling chickens, and you can learn from the passion that people have in this room. The flip side, this is people helping you. The flip side is you helping others. You can't just have everyone taking, you gotta give. There are a couple things, and I just wanted to throw it out there. I think that if you are in this space, if you're gonna be back here next year at the hackathon, you wanna get ready for this, I think you should commit to 1 hour a week. That's it, 1 hour a week. If you're really hardcore, you'll do 1 hour a day. What are you gonna do with this 1 hour a week? And I mean, it should be on your calendar. Like, you should have a calendar week, you can call this sell more stuff, or promote my career, better resume. That's how you write it down, because you gotta not be eating or having other things to do in that hour. On that 1 hour, you can join a Twitter space. And when I say join a Twitter space, I mean with a notebook and a pen, helping people, helpful. You can become a secretary. These are all organizations. You can walk in and say, I'm your secretary today. There could be 300 people in this room. You just went from number 300, the new guy, to now you're the secretary, right? So, because you're the only one there with a pen. There's a lot of people that just listen, they're in the car, they're going to, what are they doing? They're doing nothing. But you have a pen. So you show up to this party, you're like, okay, you're gonna establish yourself as somebody who's being helpful. You can take notes. They're blabbing, you're writing. When it's over, you give them the notes. That's helpful, right? The next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take those notes, you're gonna summarize it with ChatGPT. No, you're gonna summarize it yourself as a human and publish it as a blog. Okay, so this is real entry level, but this is how you get it done. In that 1 hour, you're gonna show up, listen to other people blab, take notes, write it up on a blog, and that could be a long form tweet or a Medium or whatever, and then you're gonna publish that. You're adding value right away, because people are amateurs in this scene. They don't have experience running communities. They don't have secretaries. I've been consulting, I do advisory for lots of groups, and every time I advise someone, I'm just like, you need 2 secretaries here. Like, you can't do anything. You've got 2 founders, programmers. Nobody's doing anything. They're just programming all day. So they're just, it's called top-heavy organization. They have nobody helping them, and you can do that. So again, you don't need, I'm giving you advice, you do not need to be a programmer. You do not need to, just be a little bit confident and confident that you can help, and just set that hour aside. There you go. Last thing, real specific, find a GitHub repo. If you've never been on GitHub and you're like, I know I need to be on there, I don't know how to do it. You just find a typo. This is my go-to. This is what I do every time. I find a typo. I was trying to find anybody here with IPFS? Remember this? I don't like IPFS. So my goal is someone I'm working with they said they want to work with IPFS. I said, okay. I said, I wonder how this community, how responsive they are. So I opened IPFS, I went on their homepage. GitHub was spelled wrong. So on their homepage, and I fixed it. I made them a pull request. It's been sitting there for 2 weeks. And there's a button that says, fix this. Will Entriken, 2 weeks old. Click here to accept this. Then you click the button. That is not a community that I'm going to get involved with. at least for another 2 weeks. So that's a real way. It's helpful, right? If you can fix a typo and they're not going to click OK, what happens when you have questions? They're going to take time to answer your question? No. So it helps you filter who you're going to get involved with. But also, those GitHub, they're points. It shows up in your resume. Your resume is, I contributed to the IPFS homepage. I fixed something on there. Okay, there's a typo, but that's more than anybody else contributed this week. So that's what I do. Every time, it's like, walk in there, find a typo, fix it, make a friend, ask a question, do a thing. Now I'm in. Okay, so I'm here today to mingle with you guys as much. So I want to hear all the guys and girls in this room. What are you working on? How can I help? How can I learn from you? How can I sell more chickens? So I have a big slide here too. So what I do.
Doesn't work.
Nope. Back on the white. On the QR code, you got to have a border because this is where it picks up, and it's going to work on Android. Try me. So what I do is my 1 hour a week is I have a weekly phone call, and you're on there yet?
I've been on there, yeah.
Yeah. But you weren't featured yet. We'll
No.
get you. So every week we either have like a project or we're helping you shill or whatever. But I'm just here for questions because I can't be traveling everywhere all the time. So today you get me, but you get me every Tuesday. And so for Estonia, this will be Tuesday night. So I'll be broadcasting tomorrow night. And I got a big Google Doc, and you just put your questions in there. And we talk about it live. And then I put on Spotify and YouTube, and I cut it down so it's real simple to listen to. But that's it. So this is the intro. This is the beginning. So I hope you're getting inspired, and then we're going to get more specific. And next, we've got Jutchong.
Yes.
Oh,
So
you're gonna-
next up is Superfluid about money streaming. Yeah, I'm happy to
Fun
introduce
last
the
night?
CTO of Superfluid to tell us a little bit more about the frictionless money and how to manage it, how to make it happen. Let's see.
We need to pull up the presentation, actually.
It's on the other screen. This is the screen on the left. So if you put your mouse over there. Yep. See? You want to click once. And hit escape. Yeah.
Perfect.
See if it works.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I can see from this screen also.
Yep.
All right.
There you go.
Okay.
Just,
Uh,
there we go.
Cool.
Just kick something.
All right. No, it's not going away.
Well, wait, it's that guy. Help.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, everyone.
Right, all good. Hey everyone. I'm gonna here talk about how to make frictionless money. So my name is Miao, and I'm co-founder and CTO of Superfluid. So today, let's imagine what money can be beyond what you know of, right? So we have now Bitcoin, you have Ethereum, all the cryptos, but we have never go beyond thinking about how we actually use money beyond the traditional sense. So I'm gonna give you a picture, and let's imagine what money can be in a digital space, right? So what you will hear about today. So what is super token? I'll introduce a new concept called super token, which is live, and many people actually using it. And what's needed to build such super token? And where are we at this journey of building the super token, and how to get involved? Right, so let me introduce the concepts of super tokens. Right. All right. Definitely, this one doesn't work. Is there any way I can click through? Maybe space here.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all right. Oops. I need to learn how to use Mac. All right, so let's start with the concepts of a super token, right? So the new payment semantics. What do I mean, right? It's actually very simple to explain, right? So what we know about nowadays, usually when talk about money, is one-to-one instant transfer. I say, Bob wants to send $42 to Alice now, right? So what's the component? You have sender, which is Bob, a receiver, which is Alice. What's amount? $42. When? Now, right? So when I say semantics, basically how do we describe this payment instruction, right? So in natural English, eventually convert this to code, eventually go to blockchain and execute in money transfer, right? But we can describe this just as a simple English sentence, right? Everyone can understand that. That's basically the payment as we know it, right? But we can do much more, right? So how about streaming, right? This is something you can't really do with a piece of gold or euro paper money or even your bank account, right? It doesn't really allow that natively. But let's say we want that. How do we describe that? We say, Bob, sender, requests to send a constant flow, right? So it's a constant rate of money at $420 per 30 days. So it's a measure of how fast the money is transferring to Alice, right? So receiver, when, now, right? So now you are describing a new way of transferring money in a simple English sentence. Now what you need to do is translate that to a program that I can actually execute it, right? So that's what the semantics of money payment is. Right, go next one. How about even more, right? So instant, but 1 to n people, right? Think of Microsoft paying dividends. Who here invests in stock, right? So who has received stocks dividends before from the companies, right? There you go. So you understand this, right? So Microsoft requests to send 42 cents per share to all its shareholders on a specific date, right? In the stock market, there's a concept called ex-dividend date, right? So again, it's a payment instructions described in a simple English sentence, right? So 42 cents per share at a very specific date, but this time the recipients is a group of people, in this case shareholders, right? So how do we do that? Well, in a traditional banking system, you initiate how many shareholders in Microsoft? Probably 1 million at least, right? So 1 million of instructions on the traditional banking system, 1 million message at least. Actually, much more complicated. You have to jump from US to Europe, Europe to your regional bank, go to your commercial bank, blah, 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 right? So very complicated. But on blockchain, can we do better, right? If we think outside the box, we don't try to replicate what traditional banking system is, we transform how we implement this instruction in the blockchain space. That's what I'm gonna tell you today. In Superfluid, we can implement this in one instructions, right? So all the shareholders using that token, receiving the dividends in one transaction, done, right? So that means something like think outside the box. We don't think how current system works, we think how can we do differently in the blockchain, right? Then we kind of utilize the full power of blockchain, right? So maybe you can already imagine what's the last one we can enable. Streaming 1 to n. How about that, right? So I cannot even find an existing example in the real world, right? This has become something entirely new that you can do on blockchain, right? Elon Musk, right? Somebody more pioneering in many things. So Elon Musk requests to send a constant flow of money at 4.2 billions per 360 days to all Dogecoin holders with individual rates proportional to the number of shares. Right? It's a bit mouthful now to describe. It's the same as the shareholder, but in this case, it's all the Dogecoin holders who depend on how many Dogecoin they hold, right? So it's like distributing to all of the Dogecoin holders in a stream of money, right? So if you think outside the box, this is what you can do, something that don't exist in the traditional banking rail yet, but with super tokens, you can do, and you will be able to create a new application that actually fully utilizes what a blockchain can do, and what Ethereum can do especially. Right, so here's a little engine that I illustrated this week, right? So left side you have is that a clicker? Does it work? Nope, probably not. So on the left side, in this engine, right, on the left side there's a stream of money, and on the right side are 3 different recipients. You can imagine that in a more grander cases, you have like millions of receivers and just one stream of big pipe of money that go to all the million of receivers, right? So that's the kind of new payment primitives you can enable with if you fully utilize what blockchain can offer you, if you fully utilize what this new technology can offer you, right? So, okay, so more ideas, right? Those are the basic 4 new payment primitives I can describe in simple English, but they're not very easy to implement in the code, but that's the new technology can enable if you start from a thinking about what, then you can think about how, right? So start from what do you want, then go to the how. Actually, we can think of a bit more scenarios here, right? What about sending money at a slower rate over time, right? Like radioactive, type of thing. It decays over time instead of always constant flow rate. Maybe over time it goes slower, eventually go to 0, right? So that's something we can also think outside the box. If you know something about a quadratic funding, if anyone participated in Gitcoin here, have you heard of Gitcoin here? Right, Gitcoin, so a couple of people know, right? So quadratic funding is not only about 2 participants, but actually 3 group of different people. They have all different incentives why they participate in the system, right? So there are different way of arranging this money distributing schemes. So I'm not going to do details. If you're interested, search for quadratic funding. I think Vitalik even had mentioned it early days also about you think this is a fair way of funding community initiatives, right? You can read more about it. All right, I'll skip over that. So let's talk about how, right? So I described what this new payment world can be. Let me give you a little bit more characteristic of the how it's implemented, and what are the properties like this implementation will look like. The first most important thing is that it's very network efficient, right? So the thing I described to you can be done with something called microtransaction. I think in the fintech industry previously, a few years ago, people do microtransactions. Even in Lightning, if you use Bitcoin Lightning, there's a similar thing. You can send a small chunk of money or through the Lightning connections, and it's kind of microtransaction, right? So, but the way I described to you, the Superfluid one is not microtransaction. It is literally a function over time. The money actually can transmit smoothly over time. And there's also automations related. I think I'm going to skip some of the too detailed stuff. Right, so for example, if I send you a stream of money, if I want to say, okay, at a certain point, I want the stream of money to be stopped. How do you automate that, right? So blockchain may not offer everything for you that you need, but we need to then build actually additional automation system for that. So the other thing about if you use this kind of new system, how do you know that this system is trustworthy? One of the important things is that if you ask people to use your new financial rail, it got to be a little bit correct or a little bit part of a security in a sense, right? You don't want that your money will be disappeared over the transmission. You want the money that always go from your place or to others or from one place to the other. It has to be there, all right? Then become trustworthy. So the other thing about implement this scheme is that you have to make it trustworthy. You have to make sure that the implementation is serious enough that the money doesn't get lost during transmission, right? So, okay, I'm gonna. One of the things that I do want to mention is that some naive implementation might skip this actually important thing. It's like imagine you receive a stream money as a landlord. Let's say you have a house in Tallinn and you receive rents from your the tenant, right? So traditionally, you would wait the money come, then you are able to spend it. If you receive your streams, can you use the moment you receive it? Like let's say every second I receive 500 euros from my tenant. Can I use 200 euro per month immediately? instead of waiting for an end of the month, right? So this is something that in the naive implementation they don't usually have, but in the super token implementation, you actually have that. So you actually can use the moment you receive it. It's actually it might not be very easy to get it in the very beginning, but once you get it, it's actually very powerful, so that you don't need to wait for the money come to your account. You can just use it right away, because the people that the tenant sent to you, he sends you every second. You should be able to use it also every second, right? So this is also important detail that some of naive implementation don't really have. I'm going to skip over the conditional payments. All right. So what we have described now is a paradigm shift. We're talking about continuous money transmission in the network globally, as opposed to discrete. So it enables this network efficiency and this philosophically, you can think of this kind of ongoing relations, as opposed to, let's say you work for somebody and the employer, and your employer sends you a stream of money. So it becomes more like ongoing relations you can represent on the blockchain, as opposed to something that you only see once a month, right? So it changes a little bit how you relate to another party, especially talk about things are moving more and more on the internet, onto the internet, moving more and more on chain. So more things become kind of traceable on chain. All right. So. And also it enables endless possibilities now that because of composable, streamable money, and it has really become kind of platform for internet native way of using the money, right? So it's much more beyond just analog to your daily bank accounts that you access. It becomes more native to what internet can offer, right? So I think, if anything, one thing you can take away is that if you think of something to implement on a new technology, think outside the box, right? So maybe there's more you can do, as opposed to just borrowing the concepts that you already know, right? So because new technology usually means more possibilities, right? So okay, what's needed? It's maybe technical. I'll go fairly quickly. So I already described to you the how to describe your payment instructions as plain English language, right? So it's like, don't think about how yet, just describe what kind of new possibility can be, right? So let's describe that. So I'm going to skip some of this. It's more technical crowd, right? So, all right. So what's also needed is the Ethereum, right? We build on Ethereums, and we need the Ethereum virtual machines. So Ethereum offers a smart contracts platform that is censorship resistant, which is very good for base layer money, right? As a company, as a business, you may implement your own kind of compliance layer or whatever, but as a base layer money, it is important to be censorship resistant. So Ethereum, in this case, offers that, and also a smart contract platform. So that's what's needed. Ethereum kind of also offers a lot of liquidities over time. Right? 2017, there was a lot of ICO boom, and DeFi summer, there are a lot of VC money, right? So Ethereum does kind of also offer a lot of capitals for you to kickstart some of the business. Am I on time? Okay. And there's a lot of tooling developed, a lot of developers, ecosystem is strong, and so it is the right place for you to actually implement some more technical projects like this, because just simply the developers you can get from the ecosystem. Same thing, the developer community. Right, but it's just the beginning, right? So even if you were in a kind of crypto winter, but I believe everything's just beginning. We're just scratching the surface still. I mean, even in the bear market, a lot of technology is still being developed. So talk a little bit about where are we as a project, Superfluid. So now we have something called the V1 protocol. The feature sets are pretty much everything I just talked about in the very beginning. So you have ERC20. So our token is ERC20 compatible, right? So if you just use the ERC20 part, it is there. You can have the one-to-one constant flow of money, constant stream. You have one-to-n instant transfer of money. And the one-to-one constant stream is not fully live yet, but it's coming very soon. All right. And we also allow developer to create application on top of it. We call it super apps. All right, we are live on Polygon, Gnosis Chain, Arbitrum, Optimism, Avalanche, BSC, Cello, you name it. Pretty much every big ones you can think of, the EVM chains. We're continuing to develop new features, strengthening security and bootstrapping the super app ecosystem. We have a lot of projects rely on us as a protocol and to implement their own kind of vertical system on top of it. Right, so if you know about something called StockNet, it's a ZK rollup layer 2. From their website, they say StockNet is a kind of validity rollup layer 2, high throughput, low gas cost, retains the Ethereum layer 1 security. So Superfluid also has a prototype on it. Haven't released yet, but yeah, we're there. So we're not just on the traditional EVMs. This one has to be written entirely from scratch because it's not something you can do with a Solidity. So you have to kind of rewrite. So we have a little prototype actually developed on top of it, which is great progress, I would say. V2. So we want to make the version 2 of the protocol even more powerful, but focusing on the one aspect is formal verification, because this is indeed a new token standard. Not many people are familiar with it, although it is compatible with ERC20, but it's important to give more trustworthiness. So we're choosing partners such as Certora. It's formal verification technology providers for the EVM-related projects, and we use their technology to verify some of the core technical stack of it. And there are like millions of chains nowadays, right? So we're going to also have the more native many chains streaming support, so we can potentially send a stream of money from a StockNet to Arbitrum, for example. That's something that will be worked on in the context of Super Token V2. There's also specifications. So if you are tech people that you know Haskell, now there's also a specification written in Haskell. So kind of describe every idea in essence, right? So jump over. All right. So last, I hope you get involved. I hope this gives you a good picture about what we are doing at Superfluid and what we're actually building, which is the super tokens, right? So you can always go to our GitHub monorepo from Superfluid-Finance. The monorepo is called Protocol monorepo. And we have very good docs, very good mobile team member from dev relations, and super good. You can read a lot of things about how it actually work fundamentally. Docs.superfluid-finance, that's where you can find all those information. Lastly, you can always go to our Discord to ask a question, discord.superfluid.finance. I believe that one can give you a link to our Discord server. And if you want a transcript of this talk, you can go to our monorepo wiki area and search for the image is missing. So search for these slides that go in monorepo. Anyway, so thanks very much.
We have time for one question.
Yeah.
If anyone has a question. There you go.
Okay, so if I wanted to stream, let's say, $2,000 or 1 ETH every second to someone over a month, how much is the fee for that in your app?
Yeah, so you need to pay the gas fee on chain. That's something that we can't control. But in principle, there's no fees currently. But we have some mechanism called buffer. It's just to, in case you forgot to close the stream, then we will actually take a little bit of the guarantee so that you don't forget. But we also build automation so that you don't have to actually remember. Our automation system will close it for you. So in that sense, actually, no fees taken whatsoever at the moment. But if you use Polygon, the fee is fairly cheap, right? The gas fee I'm talking about is probably 10 or 20 cents. Arbitrum Optimism is around $1. Ethereum mainnet, probably not good idea, don't use it.
It's $1,000.
But is that 10 or 20 cents per second? Like for every like...
No, just the entire transaction. So once you set up, actually I should send you a link. The most important link is app.superfluid.finance, and there you can use it right away. Just log in with your MetaMask or other system that it supports, and you should be able to use it. There should be a lot of hints on how to use and good onboarding experience, I hope. Give it a try.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello everyone again. So the next speaker is Sasha Lansky. He's a developer advocate at Parity Technologies, and he's gonna talk about narratives and how to build in the blockchain, more specifically on Polkadot network, and it's gonna be more of an inspirational talk. So, Sasha, this for you.
Awesome. Thanks everyone. First off, I just want to say thanks to Christina and by extension the rest of the team, like for having me here, and also I think the speakers before me, like William, has said things that resonate really strongly with me, which is like we're here to learn, we're here to be part of this community, we're here to discover together, and I'm stoked to be here. So who am I? I'm Sasha Lansky. I've been working at Parity Technologies for about 2 years, and I work on documentation. I worked on a lot of developer onboarding experiences, and also have been a teaching assistant for the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, which is a course that has happened and is ongoing, and I was part of the Cambridge edition of it. Today, my work in DevRel is pretty much focused on onboarding new developers, like sharing what these narratives are. So, in my talk today, I want to explore with you guys and share these things. So first off, does everyone know about Parity Technologies? Has anyone heard of Parity Technologies before? Yeah. So that's not a lot of people, like 2-3 people in the room. So Parity is the engineering force that's building Polkadot. Parity has been around for a while. I think they're known to be in the Ethereum space, the builders of the first Ethereum client written in Rust. But a lot of non-topic stuff said on that, so it's 6:14 now. I'm gonna time myself because I want to leave time for questions. Okay, let's do this. Okay. What I'm going to be talking about today is like what I've been discovering has like these emerging trends of the different layers that you, as people that are either entrepreneurial, looking at what could be done in this Web3 space, could be interested in understanding what this landscape looks like, but also if you're a developer to appreciate and to discover or at least to have a mental model of how to think about building in this space. And I'm going to start with this bold statement, which is Web3 is multi-chain. And it's block space that is just its raw material. So this concept of block space is very, I would say, fundamental to understanding, what are the possibilities with whether it's Ethereum, Arbitrum, the Cosmos ecosystem, or the Polkadot ecosystem. But I've made this presentation so that we can discover what these layers are, as I've been witnessing in the Web3 space. So I have this concept of their application layers, right? So an application layer you can think of as like, if you're a front-end web developer, like that's your stack. Like you are living on that front-end layer. If you're a back-end developer, that's kind of a layer, right? Where you are creating the infrastructure that will enable a front-end to thrive, let's say. But so in this presentation, I really want to drill into what these layers are, but in the Web3 world, right? Where we're seeing interesting things emerge with our multi-chain reality, really, right? We used to say the future is multi-chain. Well, like anybody use Ethereum today? You use services from other blockchains too, right? We were just talking about the gas fees and whatnot. Like you as a user now can choose where you want to go. So I want to explore what these narratives are. didn't want this talk to be too technical, so it's really high level, but I still want to ask in the room, anyone here developer? And does anyone else identify themselves as like entrepreneurs in this space? Like, so that's like, that kind of fills the room, which is really cool because I want the next few slides to resonate with all of you guys, right? So the mental model really here is knowing what these application layers are and what they can offer as an entrepreneurial standpoint can give you the right mental apparatus to think about what this innovation space really looks like, one. Two, if you're a developer, knowing what these different layers are, as I'm going to describe them, can really help you, build killer, unstoppable applications, knowing where to be developing and where to be innovating in. So really, what it boils down to is that there's two layers, right? If you can think of this big picture, right? There's a protocol layer. So that's all the really hard work that we've been doing with Ethereum and rollups and networking protocols, bridges, etc. And then you have the programmable layer, as I call it, which is the layer that uses that core protocol layer. Pretty simple, right? So let's break it down. So we all are familiar with smart contracts. I start with smart contracts because hopefully that resonates with most people in this room. Smart contracts really is this layer that enables you to build an application that uses this core protocol. Ethereum is the poster child of that, right? Where Ethereum has an EVM, execution layer, core protocol, also tapping into governance stuff, etc. But your smart contracts running, this is not where I'm going.
That bottom one is back.
The bottom one is back? Okay. So now you saw my whole presentation, and we'll go have beers.
Alpha leak.
The bottom one is back. No, this is not back.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Okay, I'm better off looking here then, yeah. Okay. So two kind of, yeah. So what's interesting about smart contracts is that they have really, really interesting properties, right? The property that I've been noticing, and also in the Polkadot ecosystem, we're kind of really like discovering these ideas, is that ultimately a smart contract is a type of program that can run on this protocol layer that is reactive, right? It's very specialized. A smart contract is a program that has known inputs and has known behavior based on those inputs. So it's very synchronous. Smart contracts are very powerful because we can develop applications that instantly use that block space exactly how we intend, right? And they have their dedicated execution environment, which brings this whole Ethereum is this general purpose world computer. Really great. There's trade-offs though, but I'm giving you the layers. We're talking about the layers here. Now we tap into what's very native to the multi-chain world, right? Which is every application that would need to scale to some extent that would grow or outgrow the confines of a simple smart contract app would need its specialized execution environment for that specialized use case, right? So this is what we're talking about when we talk about app chains. So an application-specific blockchain, it really means that so if you think about what the EVM is, right? So for the non-technical people in the room, the EVM is an execution environment that allows a smart contract written in different languages that can compile down to that machine code that then the EVM reads and can execute that program. Well, the EVM itself is a specialized VM, right, that can do that. When we're talking about building app chains, you as a developer have the ability to literally program your own state transition function to your own needs, right? So for instance, you can implement feeless transactions. You can implement cross-chain interactions by opening trusted channels between other app chains. The point here, and also if you see little rainbows on my slides, it means that these are things that I'm particularly excited about, and it's really cool, right? Because here we're talking about utilizing block space in an asynchronous way. I mentioned the smart contract world, it's very great for synchronous tasks. I know that if I interact with this smart contract in this way, it'll either get included in the block or not. in the app chain development application programmable layer, we're able to actually run asynchronous tasks. That means that out of the next like 15 blocks, there's a task that started on block 1, and its entire task, the life cycle of that task, will be finished in some other future block. So now the third really interesting part here is this cross-chain application layer. And as programmers, we have access to APIs that allow us to use things like Axelar, like bridge protocols, or Layer 0, or all these things that are really cool. But we also have access to interchain protocols, etc. But what's interesting is that now we're tapping into the world of programming that really is just using the interfaces that are already available by the blockchains that we want to be using, right? So that's kind of cool. That's actually a really powerful concept. The fact that we can be writing programs that execute cross-chain interactions. And then in the final category of things, I think it's worth mentioning that the application layer of everything that's off-chain is really important too, right? As a developer, you need to be thinking about user experience. You need to think about things like if I'm going to be using an Oracle service, like which one am I going to use, etc. And so I kind of break it down here. Off-chain computation, trusted execution environments, and things like oracles, Web 2 services. Like any of you, if you run a validator, for example, or stuff like that, just to have a notification system and a Telegram bot, that is those things are being built by Web3 developers, right? You need to know how the metadata of your smart contracts are how they work to be able to write this kind of program. So super cool. But you notice there's a rainbow there, and I want to get to that. Well, okay. So specialized UIs, right? So for example, you have a wallet is a specialized UI around different blockchains, put very simply. This excited one here for me is composing the UX layer with block-based services. So all of these blockchains, all they're doing, they're providing guarantees, sources of truth of state transition function logic that has changed or not over time. And you as a developer, you could be creating all sorts of alternative UIs for your users. So if you think of a staking dashboard. A staking dashboard could be catering to, let's say, maybe it's more accessibility friendly. In UX, we talk a lot about accessibility, right? So people with different poor vision or whatever. The point is that here we have the ability on this programming layer to be creating alternative UIs for the same services that are being provided by the block space. So, putting it all together. When I was preparing these slides, I realized that it's actually it's nice to see these things in kind of in isolation to understand and appreciate what we're working with, like smart contracts, app chains, delivering off-chain compute to on-chain world, etc. But it's crucial to see it all together. It's actually really wrong to think of each one in isolation. If you're a Web3 developer today and all you think about is smart contracts and not how it can potentially be used for other cross-chain use cases and services, you're probably you're gonna get behind, I think. If you are only on the app chain level and you don't care about the innovations that could be done with smart contracts, you're also gonna be left behind. This talk is not about by the way, who's gonna be left behind and stuff. It's just really I think that what we've been seeing, it shows how we need to be having a holistic view on all these different layers. So what are we looking at here? This was actually taken from a blog post by Rob Habermeyer, who is the co-founder of Polkadot, and also lead engineer on everything to do with protocol implementation, really. And he presents us this idea, which is the concept of hybrid chains, right? Where smart contracts, they provide a very, very important layer, which is the reactive programming layer, right? It's a programming layer that is synchronous, it's easy to innovate with and to prototype with, etc. So that's what we have on the right there, right? And on the way left, we have this app chain thing we talked about. But in the middle, the hybrid chain thesis is basically one saying that it's not sufficient to only be innovating on the app chain layer. We need to be kind of taking in smart contracts. I'm going to just skip through a bit because we're going to run out of time, and I want you guys to ask some questions. But the big model here is like, yeah, you have a bunch of off-chain stuff, and then on-chain stuff. So on-chain, you know, smart contracts, app chains, cross-chains. And then the off-chain stuff is equally as important, interfaces and experiences. We have, you know, bots like MEV bots or just like notification services and stuff like that. And then you have web apps. This is particularly interesting. Is a web app that uses these different services, right? So blockchains are, you know, there's an NFT blockchain, there's an identity services blockchain, and you can, as a developer, you can create a web app that uses those services without needing to do anything on chain. That's also relevant. The Superfluid guys were talking about, they used the word super apps, right? And now I want to just present this slide here to kind of, hopefully you can put this in context of like what's been also talked about for the last 6 years. This is from an article that came recently about someone that was commenting on some work that was done by some folks at Union Square Ventures that put out. Has anyone ever seen the Fat Protocol thesis paper? It's basically saying that, you know, Web 2 apps are most of the value is captured on the application layer, and there's this diagram of like that Web 2, and then the Web 3 thesis is basically one where like the protocol layer is where all the value is captured, and the application layer is thin and sits on top of it. And I don't know if I completely agree with that, but what I kind of do like is the evolution of this, which is this application layer, the super dApp thesis, is one where we're using all these specialized chains as the core infrastructure of the block space services that are being provided. And it's us to be innovating on this application layer. And hopefully by the end of today, it's like you can see that there's a lot of things to be built and done. So block space is there to use for users and chains and for composing novel Web3 features. Must not see them in isolation. So let's look into Polkadot's block space. And what we've been witnessing in the Polkadot ecosystem. So pretty much, well, first of all, what is Polkadot? Anyone in the room know a bit about Polkadot, or is anyone in the room like brand new? Polkadot is the first thing that they're hearing about. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I'll tell you like very quickly. Like Polkadot essentially is a network protocol that connects other blockchains to it. We care a lot about decentralization. We care a lot about this. The future is building unstoppable applications that can't be stopped by any central party, and also that everything is accessible through the browser. So our technology stack is really built on those core values. On a tech level, it means, you know, using WebAssembly. It means, you know, having a very decentralized validator set. It means also accessibility for any blockchain that wants to be connected to Polkadot. You don't need specialized software to run that. Right? So Polkadot is really this network that connects blockchains, which we call parachains, and it's a vision towards the multi-chain future. So these aren't the most updated slides, but that's okay. So Polkadot also has this really cool thing, which is called XCM. It's the language to, it's a messaging format where chains can talk to each other. So that's my alarm being like, okay, you have 4 more minutes. Let's dive in a little bit into Polkadot's block space. So I'm new to using this clicker, obviously. Okay. Yeah, so some examples. Some examples of application-specific blockchains. An application-specific blockchain that's very popular and might resonate to this crowd is Moonbeam. Moonbeam is an EVM blockchain that allows Ethereum developers to deploy their applications on that chain, right? And because it's connected to Polkadot, it's very interesting for dApps that have the possibility to use these cross-chain interactions, right? Use other parachain, use other blockchains that are providing services that are specialized, for example, identity, for example, NFT marketplaces, or other DeFi chains that are specializing in DeFi. And then that application has access to these services too. So yeah, easy upgrade path. We can go into that later, but essentially, so I picked this because I was chatting with one of the people from Moonbeam, and they're really excited about this project, right? Exiled Racers. I've never played it myself, but it's a DApp that is it's a gaming DApp. It's a DApp where you have racetracks and you can race around and you can win based on bets, and there's also a prediction market thing. It's pretty cool. But the point is that they're a Moonbeam-based racing game. But they're an interesting case study because they're now looking to integrate with a prediction markets layer 1 blockchain that's connected to Polkadot. It's called Zeitgeist, and the idea is that they can have access to these blockchain services, right? They can be composing or extending their application to use features from different services that exist connected to Polkadot. This is another one, Subsocial. Subsocial is literally all it does. It's a blockchain that wants to meet the needs of allowing anyone to build their social media or social media-like application. And so their core services are around creating what they call like spaces, and you have your space, and then it's connected to IPFS, and like you can post, and you can comment, and you can emote, but everything is on chain. Every single transaction happens on chain. Why do they need to make their own blockchain, right? Well, with having your own chain and programming on the application layer, you can do things like, for example, I can tell a user, or I can give some tokens to a user that they're able to, like after this user has been using this app, they get rewarded, and they don't need to be paying every time for the transaction. You can make things like feeless transactions programmed on the protocol level. So these are some examples of. These are some examples of applications on top of Subsocial. Again, Subsocial is a parachain that just does its thing, but we can build a chat service. This grill chat thing is really fun. It's built on Subsocial. Polkaverse is pretty much like it's like a Facebook on Subsocial. I actually write the Substrate newsletter, and I publish it on Polkaverse. Other apps, right? SubID is like an all-in-one. You can discover all of your assets in one space, and it uses these primitives of spaces and kind of the social media aspect to it. Very interesting. This is just a screenshot that says like, hey, like Moonsama is a DApp that is using Kilt. Kilt is its own sovereign blockchain connected to Polkadot that allows DID and identity services, right? So this is an example of an app that is using these services. So as developers, we have access to these things. The core idea here, and then I want to leave time for questions. Hopefully we have like at least 2 minutes. We're building partnerships and we're building integrations, right? I started by saying, who in the room is a developer, who in the room is more of a entrepreneurial. That's the key thing here, guys. It's like block space is this raw material. We need to utilize it. We have access to building cool things with it. Knowing this kind of mental model of different application layers will empower you to make the right partnerships for your users. We're no longer in this world of where should I deploy my DApp for lower fees or not. This is still a world that exists, but now we're moving towards this world of what am I doing and for who? Who's my customer? And that's number one here. So I'm going to be giving a talk on Wednesday where I'm going to kind of take these ideas and put them more in the context of the NFT landscape in Polkadot. So yeah, please come to my talk there. Hopefully we'll be exploring more concrete ideas. This was just kind of giving you a high level. And also Polkadot Decoded is our yearly conference that we do, and it's happening in Copenhagen, which is around the corner, I guess, from here, no? Not really. I mean, I live in Berlin. I came here through Stockholm, so it feels like around the corner. That's not true. But yes, so attend this conference if you want to learn more about Polkadot and learn more what we're doing. This is a really great place to go. So yeah, let's keep exploring on the edge of what's possible. So that's it. I'm here, and also I'm going to be around. I really wanted to come here because it's the first ETTallinn meetup or conference, I should say, but it feels like a meetup. It feels like those early days, and I love that. And again, thanks Christina for making it happen for me. But that to say, I'm going to be here until Thursday, and I'm here to meet people and hang out and chat and whatever. So hopefully we can chat some more. But if there's any questions about Polkadot, about this multi-layered application kind of mental model, please fire away. Cool. Well, oh, there's a question.
So it's more like, because my background in DevOps, it's more like a small Docker container and you try to build on top of it, right?
So do you mean, where on the layer are we talking about here?
Yeah, like the whole layer, like based on like some containers, right? Like similar too.
Well, really, where I'm trying to go with this is like, you can compose
Yeah.
using these layers, right? So it's not so much like containerized. I mean, it's very different actually. Yeah, it's more, if you think at a very high level, you have services that you have access to and ways to program those services or interact with those services. That's it. And those services could be identity solutions that are on-chain. They could be gaming chains that offer gaming experience. Those services could also be cross-chain use cases where two chains, have some secure mechanism. And these are like the pieces that we have access to. That's kind of what I'm saying.
How do you evaluate the criticism that Polkadot lacking aggressive marketing?
How do I evaluate the lack of marketing at Polkadot? Honestly?
Because it's really Gab once that told that I created Ethereum and it was not meeting the needs of the crypto space. Then I created Polkadot. I think Polkadot provides much more utility and better common security than Ethereum. But the price is not reflecting the same value Polkadot is providing.
Yeah. Well, so this person here obviously knows Polkadot a little bit, and the comment here is that actually Polkadot has been around for a long time, but it's not really grabbed a lot of people's attention. Like, it should be like, to most people that work at Parity, it should be shocking that only a few people in the room are, well, you said you knew Parity, but that Polkadot is still novel to a lot of people. I'm proud of that, actually, because I think that if we were all about marketing, we wouldn't have been able to deliver on the technology that is Polkadot today. And I don't see it as a big problem. On the flip side, I can see why there's people that have other opinions on and how Polygon is doing way better. But I see it as a compliment, actually. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much.
So we're going to have a small break. How much time is the break?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. And then we're going to come back for a few panels. We're going to have 2 panels. And we're going to have a few more talks. Not too much. And then it's pizza and beer. So you can have some time to relax, talk, mingle, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Do you want to do an intro or you want to
Yes,
just take it?
absolutely. Hey everyone again. Thank you very much for being here. So this is a panel with our amazing speakers. So we're going to talk about NFT utility and what is NFTs beyond the picture or an image. With us we have Ethan Pierce. He's a part of NFT Factory Paris. He's actually leading NFT Factory Paris. Co-founder.
We'll go with the part, but I'll explain that.
And then we have Sander the Ape, who is the founder of ETHTallinn. And then we have also Wolf Labs, which you should talk more about it soon. And then we have William Entriken that we listened previously. And as we said, he's the lead author of ERC 721. So you can take the stage and excited.
We're here. I love it. Let's give a round of applause for the ETHTallinn organizers. Thanks for everything. Who here has an NFT? Just I expect that's everyone mostly, but okay, good. Keep your hands up if you've got an NFT. Keep your hand up if it's digital art or something else, but it's not a PFP. Like if you've got something besides an animal. Okay, very good. That's very cool. So keep your hand.
Is Trumpy?
Does it have eyes in still up? I love it. I would hope you do. So keep your hands up also then if it's something like instead of a community project or whatever, but that it's like a rewards program or maybe a digital twin for a physical good or something like that. Anyone? You don't have anything? Wow. We're going to talk about that, mister.
Very strongly.
Probably.
Yeah, because that's going to come up
I
later.
would expect that everyone should be having their hands up because they do have, if they do have the
It
NFT
was a
Tallinn
trick
tickets.
question because if you're coming to ETHTallinn and you have any of the NFT tickets, so there's an NFT ticket. Well, so you can put your hands down. So we're good. We are going to see. I knew you were finally going to raise your hand, just to spite me. So the reason I ask is because we are going to talk about NFT utility beyond JPEGs, beyond the monkey pictures. Sorry, Sander. Yeah. Oh, you see. There we go. So just because. There are different worlds in Web3 and behind that in crypto in terms of what people care about, what they are focused on. And so I think it's interesting in this environment with a lot of people who are maybe technically focused, especially with the conversations we just had with some of the other wonderful speakers, in an ETHTallinn context of an event, this idea that, well, there's definitely the technical side of what we can talk about with the blockchain, with crypto, with Web3. Then there's what we know in the PFP and community project side, which is where most people in NFTs today probably either got their start or are still really focused. And then there's what's coming. All the other places where there is utility, which is a dangerous word in terms of what does that really mean. But you're going to see brands or other organizations, all these different applications where the NFT is the tool that's going to allow some kind of magic to happen. And so we have wonderful speakers in order to be able to chat about this topic. You all know Sander. Who doesn't know Sander? Leave now. No, but it's wonderful. So Sander is the organizer of ETHTallinn. So we're also going to say thank you for bringing all of these wonderful people together. If you were here earlier for Will's talk about different things about just NFTs in general and giving a lot of great kind of the backstory of some of this, you cannot be more OG in NFTs than Will because he wrote the damn specifications. So he led the authorship of that. And he's also being humble, so I will let him explain why he doesn't agree with me on why you can't maybe, because I want to hear from them. So to dive in, let's kind of talk about that. If you have any feedback already.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's say so I teach classes on NFT. I'm studying NFT. I'm studying intellectual property. And my definition of NFT goes back to 1500 when they have public notaries. I think it's a British innovation where the people in the private sector can notarize transactions. Okay. Used to only be done by the clergy and the government before 1500. Those are NFTs. Mm. So I didn't invent that.
There's a.
You wrote it down.
Yeah, but also, we had it on blockchain before me too.
The internet says you did, and the internet's always true. So.
Fact. But my innovation here is standardizing,
Great.
And that is not just the fact. I mean, I got 7 NFTs in my wall. I mean, keep your hand up if you have a driver's license. That's an NFT. That's an identity NFT. That's a big one, right? Mm. And there's a lot of things that are NFTs. Your car title. If you can trade the piece of paper, changes the ownership of your car. That's an NFT. Right? So my contribution here is just the connecting the NFT on the blockchain to the other stuff on the blockchain, like the marketplace or the wallet or the this or that. That's where I came in on the scene.
Senator,
I wanted
please.
to add here that if some of you did think that NFTs are just PFPs, and you thought that you're going to see that at ETHTallinn, then there's no PFPs at the event. There's almost no art. There is the art gallery that we did put in, but the main focus is on all the other utilities, because that's where Will didn't say it, but I understand that when you were standardizing it, then one of the 2 main places where you were looking at utilizing NFTs was supply chain and licensing.
Yes.
One of the things I love that you bring up there with this, the idea of somebody whose purpose was to kind of that transaction, to do something around that. One of the concepts that I really love, really from the beginning for me, because I came into crypto kind of in 2015, but the idea that got me into it was not so much the the crypto piece of it and the wealth creation and different side of things, but it was this idea of trust authorities. Which is a great phrase that I really like because we have so many trust authorities in our daily life. That might be, well, the people giving you your license to drive your car. It's the legal system. It's the fact that you can go vote, or it's any transaction where, the stock market, all these things where we've created organizations who act in the middle of transactions and who are basically people who are validating those transactions. Well, the blockchain brings us this ability to automate those in some way, to allow an algorithm or some other thing to control that or validate that idea. I love that idea of trust authorities because it's what opens up all the things we're going to discuss about applications. So just real quickly, why am I talking about this stuff? You know these two. They're OGs in amazing ways. My name's Ethan. I'm the co-founder of the NFT Factory in Paris, which there are 128 of us, so thank you for bringing that up. But I'm not one of the OGs, but it's a 400 square meter physical digital art gallery that is the home of the Web3 ecosystem in France. That may not sound like a lot, except of those 128, there are 4 unicorns because it's founded by Ledger, SoRare, The Sandbox, Artifact, Ariane, a whole bunch of other, Blackpool, a whole bunch of things. Another 5 that will be unicorns. That's not the only metric. But the idea of it's this amazing place to basically have a mission of bringing Web3 and its magic to the rest of the world that we put inside of a digital art gallery. I'm building the same thing in Hong Kong with HKG DAO, which is with Casey Lau, who is one of the hosts of Web Summit, if you know that conference. And so that's a really cool thing we're seeing all these great ecosystem plays pop up. And then that's not the stuff that pays, but I help corporates, brands, and funds with issues related to the blockchain economy and Web3 through the Crypto Assets Institute. And I have the pleasure to get to spend a lot of time on stage with wonderful people like this as kind of my way to market what I do. But it gives me the chance to talk to lots of people. So that's me in a very quick nutshell of what that is. The moving forward then into this idea of all this amazing stuff that we can do. And you mentioned a couple things already that are super interesting. I think one of the first ones that we can kind of talk about maybe would be this idea of, you mentioned it in our prep a little bit, that the whole purpose of NFTs is to increase sales of things that people already want to buy. Could you expand on that?
Yeah. If you're talking to somebody about an NFT and you say, why should I buy this? And they start waving their hands and they start talking about some product that you don't understand, don't buy it. There's a lot of that going on, especially if you've already bought something and there's a roadmap. Watch out for roadmaps. Those things don't deliver. And the things that do deliver are the things you're buying every day. The thing about NFT that is special is you can take these things that you're buying and you can give superpowers. The superpowers aren't special. It is the underlying thing. It is not the flying that makes Superman special. It is Superman that makes Superman special. Happens to be he can fly. More effective. Gets around faster, right? So here's a shoe. Some people got shoes that they care about. Some people care a lot about shoes. I don't. Does anybody here really care about shoes? Like, that's a thing. 2 hands, right? There are people that go to events for shoes. There are people that buy shoes and know who made the shoes. There are people that buy the shoes and feel a connection to whatever the name or the player that's associated with the shoe. That's not me. I mean, I like to wear shoes, but people get excited about that, right?
Yeah.
That value. Where does that value come from? Tell me.
Yeah, I mean that's the big question.
Well, no.
My value.
Where's the value? You didn't put your hand up. Why do you buy shoes? Why are you excited?
It's not about it's the brand. It's like the whole idea behind it.
The brand of the shoe.
Yeah.
All right.
The story of the
There's a big panel. Someone else with your hand up. Why are you
It's
buying shoes?
identity that it kind of gives you that you can connect to. Attach
Connecting to
yourself.
what entity?
Identity.
Identity. Or one last one.
It's cold without shoes.
You like the way the shoe physically it looks.
Yes.
These are value propositions. Branding, connecting, identity, right? These can be extrapolated with NFT. So I'm not making a magic thing. I'm not waving my hands. Shoes can have more identity with NFT. Shoes can have more branding, deeper branding with NFT. When you watch a movie and you see all the names that come at the end of the movie, there are hundreds of people that make movies, thousands, ridiculous numbers of people. They fly by. You know what I'm talking about, right? You ever actually watch movies to the end? Right, I do. Right? Shoes are like that too.
And two of the keywords that you highlight there that I think are really important in that for our first discussion then topic is identity and community. These are two things that what brings you to in a relationship with a brand, what brings you to want that proximity, what brings you to want that exclusivity. Post is being humble, but he didn't raise his hand, but he has both of his Bored Apes on his shoes. So, because he loves his
No,
apes.
he doesn't like the shoes. It's just
the
likes
apes.
yeah.
It's just the flex, I know, but it's still really cool. But I mean, that's the idea is there's an identity in there of the things that matter to me or that represent me or that I connect to. So to that idea, first topic, identity. Digital wallets as identity. We started with home phone numbers, if you've been around long enough. Then we moved to email addresses. Then we moved to mobile phone numbers. And that's how you connect to all the things that you use digitally. You are connected by either somewhere in that process, you're connected by your home phone, by your mobile number, or by your email address. We are very quickly moving to a place where your new digital identity is your wallet or one of your wallets. What do you think about that in terms of this idea of identity and NFTs as these individual representations of things that I've connected to living in your wallet that now identify you? What are your thoughts?
Me?
Well, either of you. Start.
I'm a pessimist on this.
Okay. No, but it's great.
No.
We should be.
I mean, where's your hat? So, here's a digital identifier. Is this actually you? Yes. Print it, right? It says one of one. So you can use this to send him money right now. Send me NFTs, right? So that's what that is. He took the time to put this on his hat. It's 0x603.
That's actually a Bored Ape contract.
The Bored Ape contract. So don't send money there.
Yeah, they have enough.
they're a little overflow. They'll go back to zero. So
you heard that. That was slid in there, but it was in there.
So what I'm saying is that's not how people talk. You know, this is the fact that this is there, like that's rare. You're not seeing that. So I think as the next app comes, the utility comes from the app. The utility comes from people will more care about the fact that Discord is getting rid of the numbers at the end. Like that's a big deal.
Okay.
But that is not obviated by the fact that people have wallets. So I think the wallets are there, but I think it's going to stay niche.
Okay.
For a while.
But the idea of then going to, when I go to a website, like to claim the ticket for the conference or whatever, and instead of connecting with my email address or my phone number, I'm connecting with my wallet as my digital identity.
There's
You
a
still
big
see
problem
that?
with that.
Okay.
The problem is, and I don't do this, so that's my kidnap story. That's part of this, right? So when you get kidnapped or somebody with a $5 hammer shows up, how much money do you have on your phone? This is why I don't use iCloud, and I think it's the dumbest thing ever. You're going to link your bank account to your phone where you walk everywhere alone, where people with $5 hammers can take your entire retirement account in 5 minutes. Like, I travel places where people have hammers, okay? I'm not trying to, I don't have a security detail that you know about. So I feel like I got $100 in the pocket, and that's what you're gonna get if you rob me. As crypto gets crazier, you're gonna have millionaires, billionaires walking in. Oh, and P.S., when they check into the club, you know their net worth because they have to use the same wallet to sign it. Yes, you can use a special wallet that can only sign certain transactions. People don't do that. They use MetaMask. And MetaMask is extremely insecure. It's a disaster for the whole community. And if you walk into the club with your MetaMask and you sign something, have a club for Bored Apes, and then when they walk in, just put their net worth on the screen and divert some of them this way. Like that's a plan for somebody to get rich quick scheme. We don't want that. So the best practice is to not have one identity, to have delegated authority. And there's a whole bunch of technology that's boring, but is dangerous.
You probably no. Go ahead, please.
But then again, what Will is saying is right. And if you care about security and not wanting to be kidnapped, then it's better not to have everything like that. Or at least like have it all separated in different devices and not travel with everything, etc., etc., etc. Not having the ledger always here
on a chain around your neck.
Gold
my ledger.
Yeah, exactly. But
and my number is 1, 2, 3. No,
but when it comes to humans, the humans want to be. They're like super comfortable, and that's why we keep everything. We want to log in with Facebook accounts or Google accounts or some other things, and it's simple. And from the brand side, they want to know more about you, and that's why I do see that we should be pessimistic, but But most likely we are moving further and further and further into it until one day you somehow forget your two-factor authentication of your Facebook account and never get to log into Spotify anymore. That's me. So this can happen with the wallets as well. And like, in a way, we shouldn't go there, but we will.
Mm. So then, one of the other things I think that then comes up in that though is I think there's also a conversation. We focus on the fact that most of us that are in NFTs or Web3 or crypto potentially have been successful enough in that where maybe we're talking about wallets that have a different value. But if we move back from that conversation and talk about regular people and they pull out their regular wallet and their regular checking account, their digital wallet's maybe going to be similar, which is it may not have a lot of stuff of value in it, but it will be where their identity exists. Because you mentioned your driver's license, the property title to your home, your degrees. Within the near future, surely you will be able to go to LinkedIn and connect your wallet. And now your MBA from Harvard, that there are 500,000 people on LinkedIn that have that, but only like 80,000 have ever gone there. You know, that will all become instantly validated by the fact that these things will be connected. We can talk about so many other use cases where.
Like even
when we look at your diplomas, events, and concert tickets, and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like even discussions on taking your actual identity in Estonia and putting it on chain.
Mm.
There's only one reason why it hasn't yet done, and it's nothing to do with people not wanting it. There's just the question: how can we delete some data if we at some point need to delete data?
Yeah.
And this has already been answered as well. So it's in discussions. And the CTO of the Estonian government will be talking about it on stage on Tuesday of why and how all of identity is going on blockchain at some point. And also why it's not. Then I think the big part of is all the different receipts. Like if you have the wallet, then at the moment you do have a bank account, you do see a transaction history, but you have lost the receipts. And when my kid just broke a TV, then I didn't find the receipt to get the insurance to pay the money back.
Okay.
Because I just didn't know where it is. But now, the reason why people again want to go into the wallets, even though it does give them some problems, is that you can have all the receipts there potentially as well, to see where the things came from, when did you buy something, and everything else around that as well. And that's something which really goes hand in hand with the wallets and the identities, and all of those receipts will be NFTs.
Mm. And I think it's really interesting to see how all those things are going to combine into this one single place. But I would like to hear, Will, just on that difference that I just brought up between people with high value assets in a wallet and the obvious issues that brings. Because if you've ever, like, for people that speak at any kind of crypto conferences or things like that, almost everybody I know that's a speaker at these things has had their phone SIM hacked or some other thing at some point in time because you're walking targets. Doesn't mean there's, if you're the smart ones, I'm maybe the worst person you would ever try and hack or anything because, it's all secured in a way that even I have sometimes trouble getting access to my shit because there's too much in front of it. But notwithstanding, there's still an issue of that. But if we move out of that group, do you still feel the same way about digital identity through wallets, given the fact that the general population of the world is not going to have a lot of high-value things in there?
Okay, so the assumption is there's only so many people that have OPSEC as a first priority. So for everyone else, the billions that are left over, is there going to be some usability uptick from this? Maybe. Before the announcement of Apple and passkeys. So Apple and passkeys and Web3 identity are the same thing. Passkeys and Apple, the way that if you open Safari next week with the update or your Apple devices, the way that it's going to authenticate is exactly the same technology and everything as a Web3 login.
Okay.
The only thing it does is log in. You're not sending tokens, but you could. You could send tokens using these passkeys. So, I mean, did we win or did we not win?
Right. Well, there's a lot of one of the big conversations that obviously is very offensive to most of the developers or the maximalists in crypto or spaces is most of the solutions you're going to see are going to be Web 2.5. They're not going to be Web 3 or Web 5, the Web 2 plus Web 3. It's going to be this smush of, old platform things, adding in some Web3 infrastructure to that to make it work. Is that a win? Is it?
Well, I'll describe it. So a passkey is a W3C standard, so it's a standard way to log into websites. You have a private key on your device, you digitally sign a thing, and then you get access to a website. And there's some JSON, there's a bunch of other stuff. But so I just described to you passkeys and crypto. They both work that way. It's the same thing. Cryptic curves, everything's the same. Just the application is limited to logging into websites. Is that okay? I mean, is that Web3 enough? Is that, I don't know. You decide.
So, to continue our journey, because we can talk about each of these subjects for hours, probably individually, I think, and especially with great minds that know this so well that we can go into the details. But I also think it's interesting for people who are listening to this to realize how many things we could potentially be changing with this. So I want to touch on several different categories. The first of which is rewards and loyalty. Anybody here who flies and gets miles for flying or things like that, or uses any kind of a card? Yes. Hello. Uses any kind of even at the grocery store, maybe you scan your little card that keeps track of your purchases in order to, for privacy information, maybe that's a bad thing. But the idea, if there's all these rewards and loyalty things out there that exist, and corporates are massively moving towards and looking at the idea of adopting Web3 enabled solutions for that. Who here took an Air Baltic flight to come to Tallinn? Anyone? Okay. Who here has ever flown on Air Baltic? Maybe that's a better question. Okay, their entire rewards program, actually Arturs, their Web3 guy, will speak this week at ETHTallinn. Their entire rewards program is now NFTs. I have 2 planies, the little planes, in my wallet that every day, whether I fly or not, each one earns 20 miles, just because I own it. But because I have them, every 10 flights I take, I will get a business class upgrade for free for each one of the NFTs that I have. So a lot of rewards programs are actually looking at this. Starbucks, with its Odyssey program, its Journey stamps, so they're not calling them NFTs, they're Journey stamps, is redesigning its entire program based around this kind of stuff. What are your thoughts about rewards and loyalty, something we all know actually really well as a concept, migrating towards NFTs?
You just said everything. You just said all the words that are necessary to describe that. A program that we all understand, migrating. So that's going to work.
Okay.
Programs that we understand will be around. They're sticky.
To your point of if the utility is something you don't understand, it's probably garbage.
Right.
So to continue that thought, because we already understand this, good idea.
Yeah. I'm maxi on that.
Okay, great. Thoughts?
Yeah,
It's not about me. I want to explain this stuff, but I want to hear what you actually, if you have thoughts to that it's good or bad.
It's exactly that what we have been kind of wanting, because why do we want to put things on chain at all? There is one thing is to have it there to kind of validate that something is yours or you actually did something or everything else like that. Then there's the potential of giving some enhanced utilities. Because if you put things on a blockchain and you see that someone else has, you have like a Bored Ape and you have something else and you have something third, and then you just based on that give special perks for example, Air Baltic flyers. And then there's the third part, which is transferability, which in case of Air Baltic, again, they're doing it in order to, so you're currently living in Europe, you're taking Air Baltic flights. Maybe you're moving off to Australia and never coming back to Europe. So you don't really need the points anymore. So that's where previously you just deleted your points and company won. Now you're able to transfer this NFT to someone else who can use your points.
And there's a perfect example actually of how that can play in as well, because based in Paris, I always take pretty much Air France everywhere because it's the easy thing from where I'm at. A lot of my Central Eastern European flights are Air Baltic. My flight to come this week was Finnair. That's fine. Except I'm not going to get any points for that because I don't take Finnair but once or twice a decade, or maybe a year, depending on what I'm doing, because it's not in my zone or I don't necessarily need it. So the utility I could have gotten from that actually doesn't exist. It costs them money to offer me that utility through these points, and yet I don't get it. So there's a mismatch there in terms of if we talk net performance scores, if you're from Startup World, NPS stuff, that there's an issue because there's a disconnect between the value that should be there and what I'm actually getting. So if I could take those and be like, yeah, I don't need Finnair points, but if you could turn them into Air Baltic points or into Air France points, then I love Finnair because I took a flight on Finnair, but they gave me rewards in my space. There's an interesting thing maybe in how those things grow together.
But I think that the important part here is exactly why NFTs are called NFTs and why you don't really want this type of transferability. because the non-fungible token, as Will has been saying, is non-fungible as in not changeable or like different. But then you also have token, which means worthless. So it's like worthless things. And if you start making it possible to transfer between the Finnair and Air Baltic miles, then they start getting worth, and then people start speculating with it, and then yeah.
I think those are. So if we continue this Web 2.5 idea of other places in rewards, loyalty, or maybe this exclusivity or proximity, which are two of the words you also will start to see when you see Web 3 applied to brands or influencers or things. Ticketmaster and Spotify have both rolled out programs in the past month or two, where on Spotify now, if you have an NFT from a particular artist, these are betas, so it's a very small focused thing, but you actually will get access to a private playlist. So right now you have public playlists and private playlists. Well, now you have private playlists that other people can see if they have the NFT. So you want to see what Ed Sheeran's putting on his playlist, you can get that because you have an Ed Sheeran NFT. Great. Ticketmaster, in order to try and fix all the ticket scalping shit, or things like everybody wanting to buy a Taylor Swift concert ticket, but everybody trying to do it at the same time, and all the bots. Now, again, it's a small beta. If you own a Taylor Swift NFT or something that gates you into, so it's called token gating, whenever an NFT gets you access to something behind it, is this idea that you can go to Ticketmaster, and the first people who can buy those tickets will be people who are true fans because they have one of the NFTs from the artist. Any thoughts about that kind of rewards, loyalty, exclusivity?
Ticketmaster has announced ticket gating recently. Well, I think last month. That was great. No more comments about Ticketmaster. You should watch them.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I think the first examples have already been done with Ed Sheeran's latest tickets in the UK that were all as NFTs, with the concept that you couldn't really make extra money from this scalping. So again, it's happening, and it's going to happen more and more in the next years. So I think the important part here is just to know that NFTs and Web3 are now way beyond BFPs, and there's actual companies building actual solutions. And if someone is not yet having a Web3 strategy, the same thing if you don't have AI strategy, then there's you're going to be missing out on some things because others will be going there.
How are we doing on time?
We should be finishing.
We're getting towards the end?
About finishing, yeah.
Okay. So there are just two things I'd like to bring up as topics because I want you to hear them as utility. If we don't have enough time to go into them, that's okay. But well, there's really four, but I'm going to kind of skip through two of them. The two I'm not going to talk about are video games, because everything that you can get in a video game, whether you earn it or you steal it from somebody in Fortnite or you buy it in Pokemon Go or whatever game it is that you play, all those will be NFTs, and the walls will come down where that Nike shirt that you bought in Fortnite you can now wear in Grand Theft Auto. That shit's cool. I think that's pretty cool. We don't have a lot of time for that if you have thoughts. The other one is supply chain and logistics. You mentioned this as an important one. There's a lot of
comments. Listen to William's talk on supply chain on Wednesday.
So I'm going to punt that over to ETHTallinn to let you hear about that from him. So the two I do want to talk about, but we'll be super quick, is digital twins for everything physical. Who's here has heard of digital twins for NFTs? Brilliant. So we're talking to the choir already. Well, the idea is everything that, if we talk about NFTs for PFPs, that's digital art. But then we talk about digital art that's not PFPs. That's another kind of art. Well, all other art that's maybe physical, paintings, sculptures, whatever, those kind of things, you could actually create an NFT that serves two really interesting purposes: proof of authenticity and proof of ownership. So now every asset in the world that we want to, every physical thing, whether it's my New Balance shoes, it's the watch on my hand, it's maybe a luxury product because that's an easy win for some of these right now, but everything that is an asset that's physical, we're going to be able to create an NFT that goes with it so that we have proof that it's real, proof of authenticity, and proof of ownership, meaning that it's mine. And that solves all kinds of problems, because if you try and steal a luxury Breitling watch from somebody in Paris and then go to the store with it, they won't give you any money for it if you don't have the NFT. The watch is worthless.
So for that, so that's Aranita, so that's a client of mine. And the foundation you're talking about.
Great.
So the Breitling watches, when you buy them, every Breitling watch has an NFT. The NFT, they don't even call it NFT. It's just a certificate of authenticity with a QR code. That is the future of luxury for everyone except Louis Vuitton, which is just way behind the times. Just an embarrassment to the
Still
establishment.
handwriters.
No, they don't even. That's in my next speech. It doesn't even have a serial number on the damn thing. It's literally, you have a fake and a real Louis Vuitton. They're literally identical.
But digital twins in general, like
But
thoughts?
with the Breitling watch, you have the NFT. You cannot copy NFTs. So that solution is just going to deploy everywhere.
Other thoughts on digital twins?
Well, that's what we have been focusing our efforts on supply chain with creating a standard at some point that would give every physical item a framework of having the digital twin, so you can track its route. You could see how it's been performing. You can all the way go to the part of paying for specific parts based on this. So it's digital twins in general. That's another thing which we'll be talking a lot about at ETHTallinn.
Yay! Last one, and then we're done. Just because I want you to hear it, because I think it's super important. Is this idea of solopreneurship, single entrepreneurs, the creator economy. This idea that you can, whatever it is you do, if you got a YouTube channel, you got an Instagram thing, you have a Substack newsletter, you've got a podcast, you've got a blog, you're a developer because this amazing guy right here, Jacob, is creating a way for developers to be able to tokenize what they build as code so that you can make money off that as an individual developer. There's all kinds of ways where the creator economy is coming into play in this. And for me, the decentralized kind of creator economy, the Web3 powered thing, super interesting in that space. If you don't realize why that matters, if you can do whatever it is that you're passionate about, whatever it is you're knowledgeable about, you find 1,000 people out of the 8 billion people in the world to give you $5 a month, that's $60,000 a year. Yes, Web3 and crypto can make millionaires, but what it can really do is make everybody middle class. I'm a big believer in that idea. In the creator economy, that's huge. What are your thoughts about how this opens up so much of that idea in people using an NFT as the way to gate or monetize access, content, whatever?
This is a good idea. So I'm one of the early creator economies. I was selling photos. I was selling stock photos. I would take photos of stuff and sell it for X dollars each. So I have this great photo of like a car transmission being rebuilt. I got $50 every time somebody used that photo. Well, that was owned by this thing called shx.hu, which got bought by iPhoto, which got bought by Getty, and now I get 5 cents instead of $50. And everybody uses this. It's the best one of car rebuild. And so that's what happens as these large organizations try to embrace the creator economy. Is just they squeeze. They're good at squeezing. And for that to switch, I mean, we've got a competitor. So we've got YouTube is going to do this too, but now we have Rumble. And maybe Rumble will have higher fees. It's going to take a changing of the guard to really let the money out of your tightly closed fists.
Great. Sander?
Yeah. In general, when we look at the space as a whole, then anyone, if you're doing something valuable, you can generate some sort of a NFT collection of your own. And like you were describing about this private Spotify lists, you can do anything else like that as well, and then token gate it and get further. The big question there, and that's something that mostly people don't really think about. It's like tech is easy, and everything we just discussed, tech is there. But when it comes to the implementation, then the reason why the big companies are succeeding at it, while there's not too many startups coming out with new things and getting past the old guards, is because of branding and community building. And that's where people are still very bad at in many cases, or they don't have the funds to do that. And so in a way, yes, Web3 and NFTs and everything else opens up the opportunity. But the question is, how are you going to find this 1,000 people? Right. And that's still something where you do have to make the work. But
Which
once
means
you do,
you need.
well, once you have them, once you are doing something good enough, then you can easily control it. And the good thing is that if Apple's taking 30%, then in Web3, usually you don't see anything taking more than 2.5%, maybe 5%. So you will be making more, and that's where Will could still be making 50, not 50 euros and not 50 cents.
No, I think it's super interesting then, that idea of obviously if you want to have 1,000 people giving you $5 a month, you probably need 10,000 people, 50,000 people, maybe even 100,000 people in your community to make that happen. okay, there's economies of scale there we have to talk about. But it's an opportunity that you don't necessarily have today, and it reduces the distance, the intermediaries, between creators and their fans, between brands and their customers. I think that's a really cool space. Nobody's ever going to buy a song again. Streaming broke or fixed that, depending on how you look at that. But imagine that you could now go, Ed Sheeran could say, I'm releasing my single. For $5, you can have the NFT a month ahead of time that will give you the single, but you connect to Spotify, so you're streaming it on Spotify. But only the people with the NFT can stream it. The NFT also lets you listen to 5 different versions they recorded in the studio, a live track, gives you a video, gives you first-in-line tickets to the concert, gives you a discount on merch, all of that because you gave them $5. This will redefine how creators on the big scale do this because their community's big.
Yep.
But even little, to be encouraged by that, even small communities can be amazing. We've gone over, so I have to stop it. But please give a fantastic round of applause, not only for their contributions, but the ecosystem building and stuff you guys are doing. These guys are amazing. So,
And thank you for Ethan, because Ethan, you've been amazing in making sure that we had a structure.
So, join us at ETTallinn if you're not already planning on it. Love to see you. Thanks again. Yes?
Thanks. Just one question, anyone?
Sure.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So, you kind of discussed, without saying it, behavioral changes, right? Ticketmaster scalping, that's a behavioral change. So is supply chain, huge behavioral change, as we found out. Do you agree or disagree that Web3 can do it all on its own, or is there got to be more input to force these behavioral changes?
I think this
or
is something
encourage
that Will has been implying, that if there's a behavioral change needed, then it's not going to happen.
I would just add the layer to that, that if there are changes that happen, it's the Web 2.5 concept, because it's going to be because a Web 2 platform or corporate or brand or something that's big enough imposes the change on you. What I mean by that is Air Baltic, if you want to earn rewards miles, you buy the damn NFT. The program has changed. Starbucks Odyssey, you want points at Starbucks? Now you're going to use Odyssey.
The change is going to be YouTube, instead of paying you only €1 per month for only the top 100,000 people, when Rumble starts picking up, it's going to be YouTube starts paying you €2 for the top 1,000,000 people. That's going to be, they're going to double, right? They're just going to get more competitive. That's the type of change that we can look forward to.
Brilliant.
Hopefully more than 2.
Well, they'll be all around later for the beer and the pizza, as well as all during NFT week. So if you got other questions, feel free to line those up. But maybe pizza. Definitely whatever's in this can, because it's a can of happiness. I've had 2 of them. I hope you had a good time. Thank you.
Great fruits. Great job.
I don't know.
So now we have a virtual talk.
Still talking?
Oh, it's not over. Not over.
We have a few more talks, but yes. So the next talk, as Aston said, is going to be virtual. It's going to be about reputational systems and how to build them and what they are and much more about it. Our speaker is Tanisa Kadara, and she is what's happening there? And she's an independent. Can we close the door, please? Thank you. And she's an independent consultant in multiple organizations, including Polygon Labs and also Dallin's. So she's going to be with us in a minute.
Hey there.
Hey.
Hi. Is there a way that the Zoom could be casted so I can share the screen and move the slides at my pace?
Could you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Yes, 1 minute. We're just going to try to get the Zoom on the screen, which is
Awesome.
as easy as I thought it would be.
Sorry about the creepy eye, you guys.
Great
That
morning
was
slide.
meant just to wake you up, but I think it's gonna trip you guys for a bit. Okay, I'm gonna share screen. Hey everyone, is my screen visible?
Yes, we can see it.
Amazing, great. Let's get started.
Quick slideshow. Or yeah, you got it.
Yeah, is that perfect?
Yeah, can you zoom in? Present
zoom
full
in?
screen.
1 second.
Full screen. There's a little green. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Woo!
Perfect.
We did it. Nice job.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, let's get started. First of all, hey everyone, thank you so much for being here today and accommodating a virtual talk. I honestly had an adventure myself today. It feels terrible not to be at Tallinn, and then right on the day you have talks, for some reason the internet chooses to give up on you. So I've managed to get into a workspace, and then the workspace didn't work either. The AC was completely off. So I finally managed to get a room in a random hotel, and I mean, I should have just come to Tallinn, right? So,
Next time.
yes, I'm hopefully gonna be there next time. So, hey everyone, so today with regards to the talk, what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of an interactive session. I don't want to miss out on engaging with all of you. So there is a Slido that you can see on the screen. So this essentially allows you to participate in a poll or drop any questions that you may have. And towards the end of the talk, I can pick these questions up, right? You have two alternatives. You have a QR code that you could scan, or you could quickly just go to slide.com from your phone and put in the digit. I'm just going to take 30 seconds on this slide before we move on. Don't worry if you miss out on it. We'll have another opportunity to ask questions and, get it on your phone later. So I'll give it 30 seconds. Okay, let's jump right in. So for the next 15 to 20 minutes, imagine you're on a Shakespeare play. We have 4 acts. Act 1 is the reason. Why do we need reputation? What is reputation? Act 2 is a mental model, which is, okay, if I'm an entrepreneur or I'm simply someone who's new to blockchain, how do I evaluate reputation? How do I evaluate the reputation of an NFT? How do I evaluate the reputation of anything that I'm assessing? But at the same time, how do I build reputation? And why does it matter that I build reputation in the right way, right? The third thing we'll actually cover is a real case study. Now, this is my favorite part. This is essentially where we move from the philosophy and the mental model, the macro view, to a very micro view where we've experienced the consequences of reputation and we're just beginning to scratch the surface. And the last act, of course, is questions, if you have any, which I really hope you do. Great. So this is me, sorry for the yes. That's me just testing it out. But what comes to your mind when you hear reputation? If you are on Slido, you should be able to drop answers. Or you can scan the QR code and just go to slide.com and put that, the 6 digits. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to kind of just see a few responses. Lost privacy. Okay, that is super interesting. Scams. Wow, trust. Twitter followers. Okay. Mostly used in the negative sense. Okay, something negative, market manipulation. This is interesting. Sustainable, blockchain technologies. LinkedIn, but for an anonymous identity. Okay, you don't understand it, perfectly normal. I didn't understand it a few years back myself. Foreign, got it. So this is amazing, right? I do see like sentiments where it could perhaps be scammy, like what is reputation? What about my privacy? Like I still want to kind of keep myself anonymous. So if I can have multiple identities, I can have multiple reputations. So is it even legit? I'm so glad because this is exactly how I got into when, I thought about reputation when I first started. So why do we need reputation in the first place? And so, this for me is something I would fundamentally start with. If any of you here hold tokens of any kind, there are essentially two sides of it. One is a potential financial upside. Hey, I really hope that my $1 token is $100 someday. Of course, we all want that. And the second is decision-making power via governance, right? So the more tokens you hold, typically, the more say you may have in the decisions of how that token works. But then the question here is, should we bundle them together? I'm going to try and zoom into one example. Okay, I don't think I can do that here, but let me quickly tell you, this image that you see on the left side is a very interesting case study. So this is on Uniswap, okay? And of course, the admin took down this post, but there are tons of such posts I find on every forum. Essentially, they're like, hey, I saw you voted no on my proposal. Why would you do that, right? So, I will give you 5 USDC if you change your vote to yes. And if you help me with consensus check, I will give you another 5. And so this person called Luchango puts out this post very openly on the forum, trying to get people to vote on his proposal. And this, of course, the admin took it down, and we have interventions in place. But the point is that you can never stop collusion if there is an incentive to collude. We've seen this in the real world. We've seen this in our political and economic systems. Does it make sense to build fragile systems online where you can just buy your way through governance, through decision making? And so this kind of is the fundamental ground where we kind of think of reputation. So if wealth can buy tokens and token buy can buy power, then we have dominance of whales, we have vote buying, we have conflict of interest. And one of the solutions is to kind of build a fair, tokenless, self-sovereign community is reputation. Now, reputation is so misunderstood, right? One might think it's your on-chain activity. Everything you do with your wallet is reputation. Absolutely not. That's reputation for people who just want to use, who want to use on-chain and reputation synonymously. In Web 2, reputation is the outcome of what other humans or entities believe about you, right? Which may or may not be fair. But in Web 3, one of the worlds that I'm hoping we build is a transparent display of what you do in correlation to why you do it. For example, you're in Bankless DAO, but you're not there to necessarily invest. You're there to contribute because you believe in the work, you believe in the mission. So should your reputation be equated to someone who has wealth to buy enough tokens? Should you not be given reputation simply because your purpose of being in a community is different? And therefore, the why you do it is kind of important in Web3 reputation. Now, the question, in the start, we said, hey, identity. What about my privacy? If people know I'm Tanisha, and then people can see why I'm doing things and what I'm doing this, what happens? So there are 5 blocks to good reputation. Now, every time you're evaluating an NFT, you're evaluating a token, you're evaluating a decentralized exchange where you want to put in money. How do you know it's not another FTX? How do you know that this is reputed, or how do you build reputation on a platform? A good reputation system will have these 5 blocks for sure, right? So let's go through these 5 blocks. One is identity, so legitimacy. Now, identity doesn't necessarily mean KYC. Identity means a very strong system of proof of personhood. In some platforms, identity might not matter at all. You can create multiple wallet addresses, but that doesn't give you a financial incentive or a financial edge. But in some systems, it becomes extremely important to know that this is one real human. And there we have technologies using ZK where we build proof of personhood. Now, for a lot of you who don't understand what I just said, ZK is a very interesting thing, right? Imagine you enter a room, okay? And in that room, it's only you and a system around you. And you have to essentially give your documents. You need to say, here, this is my social security. And in the next 30 seconds, whatever you've kind of given self-destructs. And from your document, we now know that this person is one real human, a blue tick mark, yes. This person is above 18 years old, yes. Without revealing your name, we now have a bunch of parameters that can kind of give you legitimacy, right? And so there are a lot of ways to build really robust identity systems without compromising privacy. And that's really exciting, and ZK is kind of helping us get there. Purpose. Why are you in a community? It's unfortunate that so many communities are built without this. What is your relevancy there? Are you there to invest? Are you there to contribute? And based on your purpose, you have your reputation pathways. Imagine if all of us were to run the same rat race. That would be hideous, right? So once you have your purpose, you have your pathways. And then once you have a pathway, you have a profile. Now, profile does not mean an anonymous link there. A profile could mean something like XYZ. There's a blue tick mark, we know it's one real human, it's verified by ZK, there's an identity solution that has done its job. And here is the purpose, and here are the evidences. It's a verifiable on-chain record of what you do in correlation to why you do it rather than just what you do. And finally, we have application. So, okay, I've built reputation, but now what? Where do I use it? I'm going to talk about that in just a bit. But why did we pick these 5 blocks out of all the blocks possible? So here's an interesting research that I was reading. Take any scalable system in the world, any scalable product that comes to your mind. It will always have 3 things. It will have a maker, an application that essentially does things for you. It will have a checker system that ensures that what it's making is actually reliable. And this checker is mostly automated. And then finally, it has power, the purpose for why people even come to the platform. And so if you look at these blocks, the first 2 blocks makes you who you are, your identity and your purpose in the community. The second 2 blocks are checkers. Are you following the pathways? Are you building a profile that's in correlation to who you are and why you are in that community? And finally, you have power, which is where we get into things like governance. So this is the power block. Power could mean 3 things. One is governance, which is, hey, once you build reputation, you can use that reputation to vote. The higher your reputation, the higher your voting power. Add a little bit of quadratic to it, and you can make it a little bit more of a bell curve. You can use it for community engagement, right? Where you say, okay, we vote for 3 proposals and kind of get closer to an ideal reputation. And then you have contributor management. We have no idea what is fair pay in Web3. And so if we introduce reputation systems, it's so much easier saying a level 2 designer is typically built around this much, right? So there's transparency payments, there's reputation-based hiring, which is more fair, and it opens doors in a lot of ways. And finally, this is my favorite block, which is portability. I am a level 2 designer, for example, on Bankless DAO. Am I going to build reputation all over again when I go to make a DAO? I hope not. That would be terrible UX. So if I have legitimacy, so there's proof of personhood that can be transferred, and there is reputation, which is that I already have a verifiable reputation on a certain DAO, can I use that to gain reputation in other relevant roles and relevant DAOs, provided my purpose is the same? I don't see why not, right? And so this is a smart contract enabled, portable kind of a way to kind of build a large scale reputation engine. This is one quick example I want to give you. So visualize, right? We have a user, and the user says, I want to vote for Bob. The user signs the message. The message is then encrypted, published on chain. And if you and I want to read it, we can get it out, decrypt it, compute the output, generate a proof, and put out the output with the proof. Why did we do this? Why does the slide say transparent yet private? Because think about it. If I know that somebody in the audience is voting no, I can go right after the conference and say, hey, will you vote yes? So if you're going to make it public that this person voted for this without any form of encryption and verifiability, there's always going to be room for it to collude, right? And so one way of building extremely private systems is being able to kind of build this kind of an area where you can't prove who you voted for, thereby removing any room for possible collusion, yet making it extremely verifiable, being able to generate outputs and generate proofs, right? Yes, so this is one mechanism that we're working on. I'm going to take a quick pause after the case study for any questions. So please drop them on Slido if you haven't already. So here's the case study. Now, this is something that we built using the mental model that you just saw. What did we do with that? So we built something called as the Polygon Validator Reputation Score. I did hear a bunch of speakers speaking about validators and how, they play a critical role in block production and block maintenance. But if that base layer of the network isn't decentralized, how are you going to build decentralized systems at scale? And so we picked the toughest challenge possible. We said, hey, how do we build a reputation score for validators? And then how do we allocate power and rewards based on that reputation score? So we have 3 areas that we've kind of come down to. And this comes back to purpose. Why does a validator exist? 3 things: block production, checkpoint signing, and social effectiveness. Their ability to come up with improvement proposals, their ability to have a skin in the game. And so once you have the purpose, you break it down. You say there's an attestation effectiveness score. We can check the number of checkpoints signed and the number of checkpoints missed. There is a proposal effectiveness score. Number of blocks proposed, number of blocks missed. How effective were they? And social effectiveness score. How many Polygon improvement proposals have they authored? Which were implemented? And how are their voting patterns on proposals? A very interesting combination. Now, note that you do not have to add all of them in the same weightage. Based on how you allocate rewards, you assign weightages to all 3. Of course, different blockchains value different things, and so the weightages can change, right? And this is an interesting case study. So we came up with these scores, we calculated this for every validator. This is the mental model in action. We just used these 5 blocks to create this. So identity, we have proof of person group, we have Polygon ID. Purpose, we know what their purpose is. Pathways, we created the 3 scores. Profile, we have their experience, expertise, their stake, and application is governance. Admission, how do we get validators on board with higher reputation? How can we use reputation instead of manual interviews for hiring validators? And look at this beautiful dashboard. This is a completely community-built dashboard. We put out this research of reputation, measured its efficacy, put it out there, and the community built a beautiful dashboard where you literally can see their scores across all these 3 parameters, which was honestly quite wonderful, right? Because not only does it empower validators, it empowers potential delegators. If you and I want to invest in validators, how do we know who's a good validator? Should it be purely based on reward? Because let's face it, that can be misleading. And so reputation creates a sense of uniformity. without anyone having to compromise on running a rat race and creating like a standard metric for all. So this is quite an exciting future, right? And if we can do it for validators, I kind of can't help thinking about what the future is going to look like, because so far we have a mechanism where we select validators based on stake. So the higher your stake, the higher your probability of proposing a block. But what if we change that? What if we said the higher your reputation, which is the higher you perform and actually give to the community, the higher your chances of being selected to propose a block. Stake should exist as a financial check. It should not exist as privilege. And that's when you know you're moving to decentralization, right? So just to summarize, everyone, I really hope that today when you look at projects and when you build reputation, you think of these 5 blocks. You ask difficult questions and you say, hey, how is my identity preserved? Is this reputation a one-size-fits-all where it literally just takes my on-chain activity into consideration? You know that's not sustainable, right? And so this is a checklist, right? So is it anti-collusion? Is it anti-popular? Is a lot of communities actually reward people for the number of messages they put on Discord? It is frustrating. The most popular ones, the extroverted ones, tend to somehow have the highest reputation in communities. So we want something that is more robust. Anti-bias, where it is not an interviewer taking an interview, it is a mathematical evaluation of who you are in correlation to your purpose. Proof of personhood, platform agnostic, portable, customizable. So this is a checklist that I would strongly recommend you use when you evaluate projects and when you evaluate your own reputation engines in the communities that you are. A little bit about me. I am Tanisha. I am an independent Web3 consultant. I love to work with founders who see more than the moon and don't want to get there alone. I've been very fortunate to work with a bunch of clients, and I really love my work. And which is why I really don't mind coming to Tallinn if I have to. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time and for patiently putting up with a virtual lecture. I hope we change that next year. So you have this page for any questions that you may have, and I'm happy to take it up. Can somebody give me a time check? How much time do we have for Q&A?
Yeah, I think we could do maybe 2 questions. And yeah, just a few minutes. But everyone, let's say thank you so much to Tanisha. Any questions from the audience?
Okay, I do see one question on the screen.
Yeah.
I'm going to quickly take it up. If anybody else has questions, they can drop it, or you can directly ask. Can you briefly explain why Polygon ID is so exciting and where do you see it being most useful? Yes, so this is a very interesting question. So this is a conversation I wrote to Elon Musk about, and I will tell you why it's exciting. So you know how on Twitter we have these blue tick marks which somehow you have to pay like $8 for and kind of gives you legitimacy? And then one of the outcomes that Twitter hopes, or at least it says that it hopes, is if you have the blue tick mark, that means the audience is legit, and that means that the ads and the revenues and the platform is more secure and more relevant, and that means no bots. Now, let's just change that world a little bit. Let's assume you get the blue tick mark once you prove your identity. So, you come to Twitter, and as you onboard on Twitter, it tells you, hey, prove your identity, and you know it's a completely ZK technology, which means that your data is not at the risk of weird data leaks that Facebook and Instagram have done so many times. So you use a ZK technology which secures your data. And you have like a blue tick mark saying that yes, this person is above 18 years old, and yes, this person is legit. And everybody starts at the blue tick mark by default, right? Instead of one having to pay for it and then the whole drama around it. Polygon ID is not just an identity solution. It is a solution that allows you to enjoy the best of both worlds, to keep your privacy, not have your data leaked, at the same time enjoying the perks of being one unique human. And I see it being useful in social media, in the way we interact with people, with NFTs having a base layer of proof of personhood. So you might hold an ape, but when you hold it along with a proof of personhood, it is so much more legit, so much more valuable, because we still don't know who you are, and we don't have to know who you are. All we know is that this is not a bot, and this is not some wealthy whale that had multiple, NFTs and is just pumping it up. So the power is not just monetary, it's also the perks, the loyalty, and the ecosystem gaining legitimacy.
Any other questions from the audience? All right. Well, thank you so much, Tanisha. Appreciate your patience, and glad you could get to a good environment to take this. Thank you so much. Thank you, the audience, for interacting, and we'll see you soon in Tallinn, I hope.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great event.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Go ahead and start to introduce if you want.
Yeah, so we have one more presentation left, and then one panel, and then we are good to go and eat pizza and drink beer and network. So I'm happy to introduce you to Mike Colt, the co-founder of Alphabill Labs, and also Risto Laanoja, the security architect at Alphabill. And they're going to talk about the theory of money and Ethereum scaling.
Thank you.
Here's the clicker for you.
So it's 6 o'clock on a Sunday. We're going to talk about set theory. I'll be quick. So if I told you there was one thing Ethereum could do that would give orders of magnitude scaling overnight, you'd say I was full of shit. I must be bullshitting you. I'm going to tell you what that one thing is. But first, we're going to talk quickly about the history of money and blockchains. 2009 Bitcoin, UTXO. Ethereum accounts, Cardano, UTXO. Polkadot accounts. Do you see a pattern here? There are two choices so far, UTXOs and accounts. Is it possible that there are other types of monetary units to be used? Or is it preordained by God that everyone must choose UTXOs or accounts? The problem in crypto is people start coding and they don't think about design before they start. And you end up, if we've learned one thing over the last 10 years, is that you cannot retrofit scalability into an existing design. Here are UTXOs, here's in accounts. There's one thing you notice, is that in transactions with these monetary units, every transaction involves 2 units by definition. UTXOs, you could have more, but you cannot have less than 2. That means the ledger is interconnected. Every transaction involves at least 2 units. Bills, on the other hand, involve 1 unit. When I walk into a coffee shop and buy a coffee with a 20-euro note, value doesn't move. There's no coordination needed with the rest of the economy. The only thing that happens is a change in ownership of the bill. Yep. Make sense? Let's go quickly through a set theory of money till we get to the point. So we're going to derive a formalism, a mathematical language that allows us to draw conclusions about these different units. So we're going to have monetary units, bills, accounts, gold bars, UTXOs, whatever. And there's a mapping to value, and there's a mapping to bearer, or owner of those units. if we express this mathematically, we have a money distribution. A money distribution is a triple, a set of three elements: the values, the units, and the bearers. And so here we have payments. Payments are simply redistribution of value that preserve the money invariance. You don't create or destroy money during the redistribution. In accounts, the only thing that changes are the values, right? The bank account numbers don't change. The owners don't change. The values change. In UTXOs, there's one thing that happens, is that all three elements of the set change. You destroy and create new UTXOs. I don't know if I can go back. Yes. In bills, the only thing that changes during a payment are the owners. And so it turns out, if we use this formalism and we say, what changes during a payment? Do the units change? Do the values change? Do the bearers change? It turns out there are 8 possible monetary units using this formalism. And to date, all blockchains have been based on either UTXOs or accounts. This is the theory, by the way, that if you want to go deep, professors are in the room today. Professor Atu Buldas, Professor Dirk Drahim at Tallinn University of Technology. We're just going to touch on it, but if you'd like to talk to them in more detail, please do so. So the one thing is build a state tree with tokens, not accounts. So Ethereum today, you have a state tree of accounts or contracts, and those accounts have owners. If you build a state tree with tokens as leaves of the tree, and the tokens have owners, and during a transaction, the only thing that changes is a single leaf, an owner. You don't need this coordination. So you can split the tree. And in fact,
It just died.
You can do it for me, please.
Okay, that works.
State, network, and execution sharding become trivial because a transaction involves only a single unit. So when you do that switch, from accounts to tokens, you have linear scalability. You can just grow and grow and grow the tree. That's the trick. You can do precise atomic payments. You can split the tree within a single machine. I'll go quick. I said it was 6 o'clock. You can do composable smart contracts. The only difference is you cannot assume a shared state because you need this perfect linear scalability, perfect parallelism. Each contract must be independent from all the others. You cannot assume a shared state. So I'd now like to introduce to you what we've been building over the last 3 years. This, I guarantee this is the first time you've heard these words together, public token infrastructure. And this is what we believe blockchain will become, ultimately, a censorship-resistant machine for creating tokens. And those tokens allow you to verify things about data. Oops.
You want to go back or forward?
Go back. Before we do that, the goal is to be able to mint tokens on-chain and verify them off-chain, even offline. Today, tokens are variables inside a smart contract, inside an interconnected ledger. You cannot extract a token and use it in the real world. I'm going to show you how we do that. We need one more thing, and it's called state tree recursion. This is the way the state tree is built in Ethereum today. We have a block, we have a state tree. We have a block, we have a state tree. What we're going to do is add an additional dimension. And so as the state tree goes, in this case we have tokens here, not accounts. We're going to cryptographically link the token, the hash of the token, with the hash of the previous state in such a way that we can create. The beautiful thing about Bitcoin is that you can download blockchain and verify every single transaction. That doesn't scale. At 1 million transactions a second, you need to have an exabyte of data, and it becomes centralized by definition. It's the same problem with Ethereum, where if you run a full node and you get to 1 million transactions, it doesn't work. You cannot verify the entire state, and you have to trust the validators, which turns it into a centralized service. Whereas in this case, because it's decomposable, because we can extract the tokens, I can download the tokens that I care about and verify them completely independently from all the others. When somebody gives me a 20 euro note, I don't care about all the other 20 euro notes in the economy. I only care about this one. Same for data availability. I know I have this 20 euro note because it's in my pocket. Why do I need this data availability complexity if you can verify the state that you care about? And this leads ultimately what we're trying to build. We've been building blockchains for a very long time. Maybe you've heard of this company in Estonia called GuardTime. We started in 2007. And we built a time-stamping service for the Estonian government, which verified the time and integrity. Ultimately, we think blockchain will become the censorship-resistant machine for verifying tokens. What's new is that you can move those tokens across organizational and network boundaries, and they can be verified without a trusted authority. So, public token infrastructure. How many people here are familiar with PKI? In Estonia, of course, everyone uses it. It's the only country in the world which succeeded in the deployment of PKI. Why is that? The complexity and cost of key management makes it very difficult for other countries to implement. So public token infrastructure is the evolution of PKI, where you have proof of uniqueness as well, and where you can eliminate the need for certificate authorities and trusted authorities in the verification of these tokens. So I'm going to talk quickly about use cases. Alphabill is the layer 1 protocol that we're building for public token infrastructure. We're building it here in Estonia. We have a community, a small community, that we're just announcing to the world. If you're interested, I'll share some of the details later. We're probably 6 months away from launching it as a mainnet, and we're looking for contributors and people who want to help us on our journey. Information supply chains. This concept does not exist on the internet today. You cannot verify data. Maybe there's tiny use cases like code signing from Microsoft, but the percentage of data that is verifiable is close to zero. Verifiable data is a core concept of Web3. Government, I'll go quick, it's boring. Interoperability without shared, but obviously tokenized settlement has the potential to be the biggest impact on financial services since double book accounting. For some reason, everybody's trying to build settlement on top of accounts, smart tokens inside as variables inside smart contracts, when the solution is sitting right here. Everybody's looking under the light post, trying to build token solutions based on accounts. Well, why not use accounts or tokens in the first place? And ultimately, what we're trying to do is build applications in the real world. Blockchain is infrastructure censorship resistant for creating tokens, which allow you to build applications in the real world. And I'll skip. This is the QR code if you'd like to follow us. We're based in Tammsaari, 60 next to above a shoe store. We're above the Nike shoe store in Tallinn. So if you're interested, I understand we might be able to give a T-shirt as an NFT drop sometime next week. in collaboration with Nike.
You need to go to the site. People can't scan the code.
Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions? So, if I understood correctly, we're talking about a new system to have assets like to exchange assets, right? So the account system is the most popular one, the unspent and transaction model. You mentioned like that, and I think it's a really interesting use case of this potentially is the ability to verify transactions offline without needing to like always be connected to the chain.
Yeah.
Doesn't that paint a picture for a future where we don't even really need a ledger?
Yep.
And what does that look like? So does that mean that each asset, it has a lot of repercussions. It has repercussions for like
exactly. It's not your keys, not your coins,
right.
Not your coins. I don't care about anyone else's money. I care about the money in my pocket. I care about the state that I own, and I can transfer that to another person. That involves the chain, but it doesn't involve all that state being managed by a network.
I didn't understand that.
So I guess like my question, because that wasn't much of a question, more of a clarification, because that's cool, right? Ledgerless has potentially very interesting properties. What are the computational costs involved here, right? Somebody's going to be paying for this verification. If it's happening on a peer-to-peer level without a ledger, where is that cost being incurred and how is it paid for?
Yeah, I think the idea is you want to push as much of that to the users as possible.
Right.
You still need to manage you still need that proof of uniqueness, right, which the validators in the network are providing. And so there's still a cost, of course. I have a special slide, by the way, on Polkadot. We're huge fans of Polkadot. And they had the original vision, right, about sharding and the shared state model. And we think the relay chain in Polkadot, for example, does a lot of work, right? So if you take what we just discussed and think about that in terms of Polkadot, the relay chain is not doing anything. It doesn't have any accounts or it's just verifying the execution of the parachains below it.
Yeah, that's very analogous for sure.
What about the EVM-based applications? How they can use the potential of Alphabill?
Yeah, I mean, you can think of every contract being an EVM. So the problem is you can't have this, you can't do things like flash loans, where you have this global shared state and you take advantage of that. But otherwise, every contract can be an EVM.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Don't know if Victoria wants to. We have another panel. That's the last talk of the day. So excited for it.
It will not last long, guys. It will be very quick.
Yeah, it's the last panel for today. And like we said, the Baltics and Estonia is the land of unicorns. So we're going to talk about building Web3 unicorns in the Baltics. We have Kirill on the panel from Stakewise. We have Mike from Alphabill. We have Meow from Superfluid. And we have Hannes from YOLO Group. And the panel is moderated by Anna Shakola from Cointelegraph.
Great. Should we? Hi, guys. Please take a seat. And we're still missing.
Meow, there he is.
Meow, yeah. Thank you.
Hey, Carol.
I'm Anna. Nice to meet you. I'm Anna. Yeah. We have half an hour, but still, I think we already listened to someone of our panelists, but once again, quick intro for our online audience. I'm just for everyone to have a reason to listen to us. So I'm Anna, I'm head of business development at Cointelegraph Accelerator, which is part of Cointelegraph, which is one of the biggest media in this space. Please, Hans, give a quick intro of yourself.
Hi, I'm Hannes. I work in YOLO Investments as a portfolio manager, and we invest in fintechs, crypto, and gaming.
Hey, I'm Kirill. I'm from Stakewise, the liquid staking protocol on Ethereum. We have roughly 90,000 ETH staked, and I'm the DAO contributor there.
Hi, my name is Miao. I live in Estonia, actually moved for more than 10 years already, and now I'm co-founder and CTO of Superfluid, making money frictionless. So happy to be on this panel.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm based in Abu Dhabi, and I'm one of the contributors to Alphabill.
Thank you, guys. So my first question, we've seen the great growth of the Web3 Baltic startups. Tell me, please, what are the key factors of this growth and how we can amplify these factors into the future? Kirill, I like your smile, so you go first.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I'm not sure if the recent success must be tied to the location specifically, but for a second, let's assume that it should. I think the things that speak the most for the Baltic countries and Estonia in particular is that everything is pretty cozy, not yet super expensive, and it's quickly becoming the talent hub for people who look to work nomadically. And I think in such circumstances, people who seek out new technologies, crypto specifically, they probably head into the area to find like-minded people and good environment to build in.
Great. Thank you. You moved here 10 years ago. Wow. So please share the reason why you did.
Yeah. So I think it's because that the country at the time had a hunger for growth. That's hopefully stayed. I mean, I had this conversation recently. Is Estonia, is Baltics still at that state? I think, but where it started is basically people are hunger for new things and not afraid to do something that maybe other countries think it's not yet it's too conservative to try to protect what they have. But Estonia had nothing more than 10 years ago when I arrived. I think that. Looking forward to something that for the growth is an enabling factor. I think there's still that spirits here. I think the whole Web3, what happened in Estonia had at the time had like 400 registered Web3 business, was biggest in the world. I think that's also one of the enabling factor, which is people looking for something.
Great.
Growth.
Thank you, Mike. So you have diverse team. But part of your team still here in Estonia.
I've been here for 20 years, and I think Estonia has always been a tremendous place because it's easy to get access to people. Everybody's willing, at least reasonably willing to help, and you also have a government that's very friendly to entrepreneurs. We founded a company here called Guardtime in 2007, and we couldn't have succeeded without support of the Estonian government because they were willing to try new technologies, and there's very few governments.
Do you still feel this support?
Yeah, we do, absolutely. Especially in Web3. The government CIO is super friendly to new ideas and seeing things like, I think verifiable credentials is something that could be super interesting in Estonia because they already have identity. They understand PKI-based identity, and being able to upgrade that to some sort of verifiable credentials is achievable, I think.
Great. Thank you. Hans, you're a representative of VC, so how your portfolio changed for the recent years?
The portfolio has has had its ups and downs in a sense as the markets, but of course we're very optimistic and have started to more ramp up recently as well to onboard new investments and in the Web3 space, as like everyone knows, the bear markets are a time to build. And,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can you shape your answer? I mean, how your portfolio changed in terms of Estonian Baltic companies inside your portfolio? Sorry.
Okay, in our case, we're very much global focused, so we're geographically agnostic, and it's not that we're so much focused on the Baltic states. So we have a few investments in Estonia side, but we still look a lot further, as we have investments in Asia, Southeast Asia, a lot in Africa, South America as well. And I think that kind of resonates very well with the Web3 companies as well. That I spoke with the Superfluid guys here before. That do you consider yourself like an Estonian company if you have so many people all over the world, and you don't like promote or present yourself as a single location based company? A lot of Web3 companies do that. So I guess the country borders and the regions are starting to blur a lot more with the Web3 space. So
Great,
that's something to keep in mind.
Thank you very much. So my second question is, we just mentioned good stuff, and let's talk about challenges in the entire industry for the early stage startups. You can mention some particular challenges that are relevant for this region or general for the industry itself. Yeah, please.
Challenge.
Yeah.
I think people should stay hungry. I'm seeing something bad from this new government changing. I would say they are thinking about how to join the club of like every other European countries. I think Estonia should be continue to stay different and stay hungry. And I think that will make the change. I mean, otherwise, a lot of people coming here. I mean, not because Estonia has great weather. It's more of Estonia has something unique to offer. But if it's yet another European Union country, then I don't think that's a good attracting factor, in my opinion.
Great, thank you, Mike. Please.
Yeah, I think immigration has always been a challenge here.
Okay, Kirill.
I think you asked about
Challenges.
building ventures, right? Or
I
was
asked
it about
for challenges for early stage companies in the industry. Yeah.
Right.
In terms of VC or in growing your company.
Right. So in terms of VC, at least speaking from my experience back when we were raising, it didn't feel like there is a big VC community in Estonia for crypto companies specifically. We haven't come across YOLO Ventures at the time. Would have been nice, but that's one thing for sure, that in general, like the European landscape for crypto ventures is not as vast as, let's say, in the US. And what to say about the Baltics? It's, I guess, less advanced still. There's certainly stuff like, how do you get everyone on payroll if you attract funds in a mixture of fiat and crypto? How do you get access to banking? How do you make sure that your employees can think long term when working for your company, and also get access to credit? So while working for crypto startups, so I would say that there are plenty of challenges that you need to think through, but I don't think that, let's say, they necessarily cannot be overcome. They just come with building an early stage company in general.
Great, thank you. I will start with this next question, but you will be the first.
Right.
Okay. So the question is, what is the next verticals who most probably will bring new unicorns to the Baltic surface? Web3 verticals.
I liked from the previous NFT panel that they brought out one cool idea on the identity space, that in a sense Estonia has a fair share of experience in that area as well, of offering the digital identities and having smart IDs and stuff like that. So, and the transparency and verifiability of the blockchain could be a perfect underlying platform for having a digital identity as well. So I'm really looking forward to some cool startups, and especially from maybe in the Estonian ecosystem space that could sprung up from in that area.
Great. Kirill, Meow, Mike, I know that you work in very particular verticals, but try to make step away and be more objective. So what is your forecast?
Sure. Personally, I'm very excited about real-world assets being put on blockchain. It does come with, I guess, more transparency and more legitimacy for blockchains themselves. So I would be excited to see new ventures pop up in this space.
Great, thank you.
In my opinion, considering the size of the Baltic in general, I think the high leverage project would have its own, meaning things like infrastructure related projects or really like ETHTallinn type of project, because those don't need a lot of people. They leverage just based on that. I think that
Great. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of VC money going into AI these days, and that sort of connection between AI and crypto. I think most of it's BS, like, but there is something in there. I think verifiable content, being able to verify that came from a human, stuff like that, I can see that being an opportunity.
Great. So we didn't have the next question from the list that all of us confirmed. Sorry, Ashton, sorry, organizers, but I really want to hear the answer. Can you name the projects and the VCs that grow entire ecosystem, Web3 ecosystem in Baltic countries? What is your favorite companies who really grow the industry?
VCs?
VCs and startups, or already like mature companies. For example, Skype made the reputation for Estonia back in 2000 something, right? So can you name some particular companies that show up Estonia as a Web3 hub? Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, in general,
Like
Latvia.
something YOLO? No?
That's good. That's
Three
good.
commas.
Kirill.
Yeah, I'm thinking. With Web3 specifically, I would struggle to pinpoint a company precisely because of the fact that Web3 companies tend to be distributed and they're not pinpointed to a specific location. But it's very true that YOLO Group is one of the standouts. I think some of the companies that have been started in Estonia, back in 2018, 2019, 2020, not necessarily in the Web3 space, but in general crypto, still kind of bring some sort of fame to Estonia. I would imagine the company that is the most prolific within the crypto space is probably Superfluid. I'm very excited about Superfluid's mission, and the fact that the guys have been here nurturing the sort of Web3 community since early 2020, or perhaps earlier, that this is when we met them. This really stands out for me, so I'll go with Superfluid.
Great.
I go with Gartan, actually. Doing blockchain stuff since 2007, so.
Mike, please.
I think we have to find a way to make it more mainstream. What's the total number of developers in crypto these days? 10,000, 20,000? It's tiny. There's 2 million computer science students in the world. So unless we figure out what is the tooling that can make crypto practical in the real world, I think it's going to become risk of becoming more and more marginalized, and people just move on to do more interesting things.
So here we are going to Telegraph as a media. We are trying to bring and educate people. Great. So that's it from my list. And guys, who wants to answer questions to our brilliant speakers? Please raise your hands. Otherwise, I will continue to ask because I still have many. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
Yeah, so I come from Sweden, and we have a history that if, for example, Portugal made good rules that made Swedes move there, Swedish government goes at them and tells them change these rules because you're stealing our people or helping them. So does your government here do any, don't they have a lot of pressure from other people yet, or will they, or how do you think they will deal with that? Or from other countries, I mean.
You guys speak to the government?
Not that much, I guess.
No censor restrictions, so please go ahead. It's our inner circle for Web3.
I'm not sure on the outside pressure, because I think for the politicians and the government side, the Web3 space is still very new, and there's, because recently there was in March there was elections in Estonia, and I spoke with some even young and up and coming politicians as well, and asked them about what your opinion on the space, and there wasn't that good of knowledge and maybe focus on these topics still yet. So in a sense, if there's any young aspiring politicians listening to this, this is a good opportunity for you to build a platform or a position and find some a very innovative allies to your positions. As I remember, back when I worked in the ministry, it was like in mid 2010s, and the sharing economy was just kicking off, and there was the same case that a few young politicians took that topic as their agenda. They pushed it to the public discourse, pun intended, and built this kind of their own knowledge on it, and also helped push the industry forward. So I guess we need some kind of key people in the government space as well to support it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I am concerned about the fact that after the money laundering scandal that Estonia and a few other Baltic states have been embroiled in, we as state have become more wary, perhaps unnecessarily wary of new technologies that are related to financial transactions. And I do think that in that regard, perhaps we need to shake it off and try to look at it from another perspective. It's certainly helpful that MiCA is trying to, the new regulation in the European Union is trying to establish some sort of rules for how this should be done. But at the same time, nothing stops Estonia being the original innovator in the space to try to lead that conversation. Hopefully, this will happen with the young politicians involved, but one way or another, I would like to see that happen.
Cross fingers.
Can I add just a comment? I was running for government these elections, and this was exactly my topic. Yes, and well, I didn't get in, but I can tell you that at the moment this environment still is young, and there are so many other critical topics around us, very near to us, that you probably know very well. Additionally, the economy today, and also the depth of today, which are more important and have more discussions. And also, as you said, young politicians, because there are also very old politicians that treat these topics as a priority, the other topics. So I hope as well that
they have more weight.
Yes, exactly. Yes, yeah. So if we have more security in the region, then there is also more availability to push this field more. At least this is something that I would like to do in the future. So I hope the best for all.
Great.
And Car Time is absolutely one of the key players in this area, also as an innovator. So hopefully the Alphabill will do the same, and YOLO and you guys as well.
Great. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Do we have more questions from the audience? Yeah, please go ahead.
So my question would be more around, kind of maybe a follow-up to the first question, and just kind of putting it under just the tech umbrella. Are there any, just incentives from the government, for foreigners, to move here, building tech startups or working for one of the tech startups?
Mike, so you as an OG, can you answer this question, please?
But pass to me out. Younger generation.
Is there incentive? I'm actually not super up to date, but what I can say is that the infrastructure of moving people, if you're actually already here, I'm talking about if you're hiring people from outside, and the infrastructure around it is actually quite mature, right? So you would think that it's probably difficult to bring people, but no, actually there are company help you. It's a very decent price, you can get people here. But for entrepreneur getting here, there used to be a program for related to that, but I don't know if it's still active. I don't know if there's new program. Sorry, I can't answer that.
Okay. And then I have a follow-up question, of course. A second question. My second question is: are there any? I know Estonia is a small country, but are there any local municipalities that have issued any type of local legislation around crypto? Do you see any of the local municipalities launching, you know, I don't know, a tourist type NFT or just something to just get it in the ideas of the minds, or just plain, you know, like not plain, but beta testing with this new technology. A lot of this is happening in